Right. We will start. First of all, once again, thank you. Thank you. Welcome you all back to JMC Virtual Learning Seminar Series for AAT. So last week, Monday, we had our first session and where we have covered the MCQ part of the question. So today, we have much bigger part. We have to do the second part, the part B and part C. Actually, we have to do a lot of questions, right? We got 2 hours, and as much as possible, we have to discuss. And mark my words, these papers have been prepared with careful analysis, and purposely I have made a little bit tough, and I have included some adjustments to the paper to make sure that you'll feel comfortable at the real exam, right? And at the same time, I put my sincere thank to JMC Virtual Learning team. They are the premium virtual learning platform for AAT chartered and other professional qualifications. So even you all can continue your AAT journey with them in the next stages, AAT2, AAT3. So you can get these video packages, high quality videos that have been recorded, and 100% syllabus is covered, including the past papers. And these model paper discussions will also be added to the pack, right? So with that, let me share my screen and so we'll move on to the paper without any delay, right? Okay, give me a second. Okay, right. So, let's start. We were here, right? Last week, Monday, we completed up to part A actually, and where we had bit of a discussion that day, right? And today, we have to manage our time and we have to complete the part B and part C. So we'll straight away, without any further delay, we will move on to part B then, huh? Right. If you all have any doubt, you all can always unmute yourself and ask, as well as you can put a message. And when you're sending the message, please select Sandeepa so that I can see your message, right? So without further delay, let's move on to the questions, guys, right? Okay, right. Okay, now when it comes to the second paper, I'll be telling certain things that you need to keep in your mind because these are very important, right? Now, whenever you are tackling a question, especially in the second paper, Lamai, there are certain steps that you need to follow, right? Certain steps that you need to follow when you're tackling a question, right? The number one step, right? My handwriting would be pretty bad. Number one step would be the requirement. Always you need to start with the requirement of a question, right? We need to start with the requirement. Number two is what we call the glancing through the question. Number two is glancing through the question. That is where you need to read the question from start to the end, right? First one, you are going to look at the requirement, what you are supposed to do. Second thing is you are supposed to glance through the question paper, the particular question from start to the end. Third step would be to prepare the format, draft in the formats. Third step would be to draft the formats, right? So first you are looking at what you're supposed to do. Then you read the question to understand what other things are included there. Then you are drafting the format. Then you are going to start the question from the beginning, right? Especially when it comes to a sole proprietor question, you have to start with the additional information. Generally, you have to start the question with the information, right? Once you have done everything, the last step will be to do the finalizing. That is where you are going to close your accounts and get the final answer, right? So you are going to follow these 5 steps when you are putting the answer in the second paper. මොනවද කරන්න ඕනේ ගානේ. ඊට පස්සේ ගානේ තියෙන්නේ මොනවද බලන්න. ඊට පස්සේ format එක ගන්න. You are supposed to put the format. Then you are going to start with the information, whatever the information given in the question, you are going to do the question, adjustments and everything. Finally, you have to do the finalizing part. ඔන්න ඔය කියන steps පහ අපි කරගෙන යන්න ඕනේ. Right. So we are going to start with the first question. මම මේ තියෙන question පිළිවෙලටම කරගෙන යන්නම්. හරිද? exam එකේදී ළමයි ඔයා තියෙන පිළිවෙලටම කරගෙන යන්න ඕනේ කියලා නියමයක් නැහැ. You can start with the easier one. Start with the easier question, then go to the next, go to the next like that. හරිද? You'll have to always start with whatever the easier question. Right. දැන් මේ ගානේ පොඩි correction එකක් තියෙනවා කරගන්න typo එකක් තිබුණා ළමයි. This I have marked here. Here it has mentioned as 8,000. I hope you all can see. Right. So it is not 8,000. Sorry, it is mentioned was as 3,000 here. මේ රතු පාටින් කරලා තියෙනවට පේනවා ඇති. Right. I hope you all can see it in the red color. Right. Let me show it again. So here it's 8,000. It was mentioned as 3,000. A correction ne පොඩ්ඩක් කරගන්න. හරිද? Right. මෙන්න මෙතන. මේක 3,000යි කියලා තිබුණේ. හරි? Right. Okay. So we'll start with the requirement. We will start with the requirement first. The requirement is to prepare the trial balance. Right. You are supposed to prepare the trial balance. Trial balance එක හදන්නයි තියෙන්නේ. That's the first step. We'll start from the beginning. Rajendra started a sole proprietorship. And as per the Rajendra Traders on 1st of April 2023 by investing rupees 750,000. Okay. In cash. Summary of the cash receipt and the cash payment journal were given to you. So the capital included, receipt from the debtor, cash sales are given to you. Then the other items include payment to the creditors, right? The other items include payment to the creditors, then salaries and wages, electricity bills, purchase of furniture, water bill, petty cash impress and drawings. These are the items given. Right. Then if you look at the other items given, right, you have the receivable and the payable. Receivables and the payable as at the year was given to you as follows. You have the debtors, you have the creditors, accrued electricity, prepaid water bill. Then you need to understand in a trial balance question, lamai, depending on what are the items here, you need to open up the T accounts. Metan accounts hadarak tiyena nan T accounts hadarak අපි open karanna ඕනේ. And there are petty cash items. These items are going to be the petty cash expenses and the closing petty cash balance. Antima petty cash balance එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා. Right. Then if you look at, okay, all purchases were made on credit basis and there were no stocks. Furniture were acquired on 1st of October 2022 for 75,000. And those are depreciated on 20% per annum on a straight line basis. Right. ඔය ටික තමයි තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? දැන් ඔන්න ගාන අපි බලාගත්තා. ගාන වාත් exam එකේදී මේකම කරන්න. Please have a highlighter. Exam එකට යනකොට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම highlight එකක් අරන් යන්න. ගාන බැලුවා මොනවද කරන් තියෙන බැලුවා. ඊළඟට ගාන කියෝගෙන යන්න. You have to highlight whatever the important information. Like we did. අපි වැදගත් ඒවා highlight කරගත්තා. Right. Now we have done everything. Now the third step is to do the formatting part. Right. Let me use an Excel for that. මම Excel එකක් එකට පාවිච්චි කරන්නම්. Right. So for Rajendra Traders, right, we are going to prepare the trial balance as at 31st March 2023. Right. හරි. ළමයි ඔයාලට මේක පේනවා ඇති කියලා මම හිතනවා. නැත්නම් මම තව මේක ලොකු කරන්න. Right. I think this would be මේක පේනවා නේද? Right. Can anyone confirm whether you all can see this? Okay, can you all see the font size is okay, right? Yeah, good. Right. So let us draft the format. We are supposed to draft a trial balance, lamai. We are supposed to draft a trial balance. So let me put the trial balance like this, including all the balances. Right. Let me put it like this. Right. Here we have the debit. Here we have the credit. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Thank you. Right. Then we have to open up 4 T accounts. ගාන තිබුණේ අර additional information වල තියෙන ළමයි debtor creditor balances. ඒ balances ගාන අනුව ඔයාගේ T accounts ගාන තීරණය වෙනවා. Right. We need to open up 4 T accounts. We'll open up 4 T accounts as well. Right. We need to open up 4 T accounts. ඔයාලත් මාත් එක්කම කරන්න. Then it will be much easier. හොඳයි. ඔයාලත් මාත් එක්කම කරනවා නම් ලේසි වෙනවා. Right. Okay. Right. We need 4 T accounts. Right. Right. So what we need is the debtors. We need the creditors. And other than that, what we got is yeah, accrued electricity and prepaid water bill. Accrued electricity and prepaid water bill. Right, accrued electricity and prepaid water bill. Right, then we have the accrued electricity, and we need to open up the prepaid water bill as well. Right, හරි. Okay, please have the draft ready. හරි, මම ටක් ගාලා මේක දාගෙන ඕකේ එකක් දෙන්න. අපි දෙගොල්ලෝ මේකට ගාන හදමු. මාත් එක්කම ගාන හදන්න. Right, much easy. Trial balance questions are pretty easy. We will do it together. Right? දඩ බඩ ගාලා දාගන්න. And in the exam, don't spend unnecessary time on drafting. Format draft කරන්න කියලා පැය ගණන් ගන්න එපා. That is the mistake you're doing. හරි. මට format එක දාගත්තා නම් ඕකේ එකක් දෙන්න. හරි කියලා. Right? Right. Okay. Super. Lamai, when you are responding, that gives me immense pleasure, right? So that you are also in board with me. Right. This is how we are going to do. You draft the format now along with the 4 T accounts. How to determine how many T accounts need? That is the adjustment in the question paper. ආගේ ගාන තියෙන adjustment එක. හරිද මේ තියෙන adjustment එක තමයි එතෙන්ද කියන්නේ. හරි. Right. So we'll start from the beginning. ගානේ මුලින් ඉඳලා පටන් ගන්න දී. Right. Okay, we'll read the question and at the same time we will do the question. Right. First of all, it says the company was started on 1st of April 2022 by investing 750,000. ඒක ගානේ cash receipt journal එකේ පළවෙනිම adjustment එක විදියටත් තියෙනවා. Right. Now what you need to do is ළමයි we need to put the double entry. අපි මේක double entry එක යන්න ඕනේ. double entry එකෙන් debit credit වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා trial balance එක නතර වෙන්නේ. Right. So if you look at when the capital is being invested, debited to cash debit වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ පැත්තට එකතු වෙලා තියෙන cash debit and credited to capital. Debited to cash, credited to capital. Right. අපි මේ balances දෙක දාගමුකෝ. Debited to cash, credited to capital. හරිද? ඔය දෙකෙන් තියෙන්නේ. Only thing is ළමයි cash there are many items no. මේ සල්ලි එනවා, තව සල්ලි යනවා. ඒකන්ද අපි ඕක මේ මෙතන ඔක්කොම සල්ලි ආපු ගියපේව තියෙනවානේ. අන්තිමටම මේ balance එක දාමු. Right? There are a lot of cash transactions. Cash coming in and cash going out. So what we will do is we can actually calculate the closing cash balance. අපි cash එක දැනට ඔහොම තියලා capital balance එක දාමු. We'll put the capital balance. Right? හරි. ඔන්න අපි එහෙනම් capital එක දැන් දානවා. Right? So we are going to put the capital balance credited capital balance 750,000. 750,000. Right? 750,000. You can do the question in either rupees or thousand. That's okay. But my general idea is if the question is given in rupees, we have to do the question in rupees. ප්‍රශ්න රුපියල් නම් අපි රුපියල් ලින්ක් කරන තරමට හොඳයි. හරි. So first part is done. පළවෙනි part එක හරි. Debited to cash, credited to capital. හරිද? Debited to cash, credited to capital. Debited to cash, credited to capital. හරිද? Debited to cash, credited to capital. ඒතර මේ පැත්තෙන් cash වල එකතු වෙනවා. හරිද? මම මේක දැම්මේ නැහැ. කෙලින්ම එකපාර balance එක ගන්න. I will look at the second transaction. අපි දෙවෙනි එක බලමු. Right? We look at the second transaction. Right. Received from the trade debtor. Debtor ගෙන් හම්බෙලා තියෙනවා 1200. So what would be the double entry received from the trade debtor? What is the double entry? Debited to cash. Cash වල එකතු වෙනවා. Credited to debtor. debtor අපේ account එකක් තියෙනවා. මේකට දාගන්න තියෙනවා. හරිද? Credited to debtor. Debtor ව credit කරනවා අපි 1200 as what? Cash. ඒක අපි දාගත්ත cash. හරිද? දැන් මේ පැත්තේ මේ cash වලට debit වෙනවා. කියන්නේ ඒක වෙන වෙනම දදා ඔක්කොම එකතු කර කර යන්න ඕනේ. අපි අන්තිමට මේ balance එක ගමු. You have to just think about the double entry. Debited to cash, credited to debtor. එතන. හරි. දෙවෙනි එක බලන්න, තුන්වෙනි එක බලන්න. Cash sales. Cash sales. හරිද? Cash sales. I'll put one column here. මම මෙතන පොඩි column එකක් ගන්නම්. Right? There's a reason. හරිද? Right. Cash sales will take. Then what is the double entry for the cash sales? Debited to cash, credited to sales. අපි cash sale එකක් කරාම cash වැඩි වෙනවා, sales වැඩි වෙනවා. Then cash වලට යනවා. ඒක මම අන්තිමට දාන්නම් sales. So let me put that to the sales. මම මේක sales වලට දාන්නම්. Only thing is there will be credit sale and cash sale both නේ දෙකම එනවනේ. ඒකන කලබල වෙන්නේ නැතුව මම ඔයාගේ මෙතන ඉස්සරහින් ලියා ගන්න. cash sales වල ලියා ගන්න plus the value is 625,000. මම තියලා තියාගන්න. හරිද? තියලා තියාගන්න. පස්සේ අපි credit sale එකත් එක්ක එකතු කරලා credit කරමු එකපාර. වාගේ තියෙනවනේ sales ඉස්සරහින් plus 625,000. තව sale එකක් එනවනේ credit sale එකක් එනවනේ. එකක් ගන්න එපා. මේක. එහෙනම් cash වලට debit වුණා sales වලට credit වුණා. මම cash වල මේ ඔක්කොම debit يعني එකතු වෙන අඩු වෙනවා පෙන්වන්නේ නැහැ. කෙලිම closing balance එක ගන්න. ලේසි. Right. So the cash receipt side okay. සල්ලි ආපු පැත්ත හරියා. I will go to the cash payments. Payment to the trade creditor. What is the double entry? When you are paying the creditor, cash will come down. සල්ලි අඩු වෙනවා. Credited to cash. එතකොට creditor මොකද වෙන්නේ? Creditor is a liability. When we make the payment, the liability will come down. Debited to creditor. අහන එක දාමු බලන්න අපි. Creditor debit කරනවා 1575,000 as cash. Credited to cash, cash අඩු වුණා. Creditor debit වුණා. Creditor debit වුණා. හරිද? Right. ඒක දැන්. Then salaries and wages. Salaries and wages, right? We don't have any accrued or prepaid. Accrual එකක් කරේ prepaid එකක් නැත්නම් ඔක්කොම ගෙවලා. Then it will go to the expense. Salaries and wages directly go to the expense. What will happen? Cash credit. Salary ගෙවන්න සල්ලි අඩු වෙනවා. Credited to cash. මේ cash අඩු වෙනවා. මේ පැත්තේ cash අඩු වෙනවා. Debited to salary expense. අපි එනවා salary expense එකට දානවා salaries and wages කියලා. Right? 225,000. මේක දැන්. Salaries and wages. Credited to cash, debited to salaries and wages. Right. Next item, electricity. Lamai, you have to be very careful in the question if there are any accrued or if there are any prepaid adjustment, the double entry will be parked in cash and the accrued or the prepaid. That means electricity will give a make electricity expense. It will go there, but it will route it through the accrual. ගානක accrued එකක් හරි prepaid එකක් හරි තිබුණොත් එක entry එකක් cash වලට දාලා අනිත් එක accrual එකට හරි prepaid එකට දානවා. In case if there's accrued adjustment or a prepaid adjustment, you have to put that to the accrued account or the prepaid account, right? So salary paid, credited to cash, සල්ලි අඩු වුණා. Debited to accrued electricity bill. Accrued electricity එකට මම දාගන්නවා 89,000 as cash. 89,000 as cash. එකක් දාගත්තා. හරිද? 89,000 as cash. Right. Right. අපි එකක් දාගත්තා. Then we have purchase of furniture. Furniture අරන් තියෙනවා. එතකොට මොකද්ද double entry එක? Furniture ගත්තාම cash will come down, credited to cash. Furniture will increase, debited to furniture. Cash අඩු වෙනවා, furniture වලට debit වෙනවා. Furniture will be debited 75,000. 75,000. Right? Water bill 23,000. When you are paying the water bill, unless you have any accrued or a prepaid, that will be an expense, no issue. But whenever you have a prepaid or accrual, you have to put that to the prepaid adjustment. So this 23,000, I'm going to put that to the prepaid. Cash will come down, credited to cash, debited to a prepaid water bill. Prepaid water bill. So electricity මෙතන accrued උනේ කොහොමද? මේ ගානේ තියෙනවනේ ළමයි accrued electricity මේව එකක් මේ accrued electricity කියලා මේ තියෙනවනේ. මෙහෙම account එකක් තිබුණොත් electricity ගෙවන්නේ ඔක්කොම accrual එක හරහා යවන්න. prepaid water bill කියලා එකක් තියෙනකොට ඒක හරහා යවන්න. expense එකට දාලා යන්න ගියොත් එහෙම අනා ගන්නවා. මම මේවට ලේසි ක්‍රමය කියන්නේ. හැම වෙලෙම accrued එක through යවන්න. Then it will be you are getting the correct answer. Right? හරි. අපි water bill එක දාගමු. Credited to cash, debited to prepaid water bill 23,000. Right? So cash. All right. Okay. Right. Then we got water bill, sorry, petty cash impressed. Lamai, when you are making a petty cash, now you all need to understand in a business they are doing all the transactions through the bank account. Then in order to handle the day-to-day cash payments, the businesses are keeping separate cash float, petty cash impressed. Now the main cashier from the main cash account or the bank account, they are transferring 25,000 to the petty cashier. Right? ඒක 25,000ක් main cash එකෙන් අඩු වෙනවා. Credited to cash. ඒක යන්නේ cash float එකට, debited to petty cash. හරිද? දැන් ඒක අපි අවුලක් ගන්න එපා, petty cash account එක තියනවා දීලා. They have already given us the petty cash account. ඒක හන්ද අපි ඒක petty cash account එක බලන වෙලාවෙදී address කරගමු. Right? No issue. Okay, so petty cash impress, I'll deal with the petty cash account. Petty cash account එකත් එක්ක ඒක මම බලන්න. හරිද? Right. Iftikhar is asking, sir, now in this question, we have only 40 accounts, right? Yeah. It depends on the adjustment. Okay, adjustment accounts accounts. Right. So we are down to the last item, drawings. What is the double entry for a cash drawing? Cash comes down, credited to cash. Drawing, which is an equity reduction. Drawing will increase. Equity can credit balance, can debit. So debited to drawings. Drawings debit karanawa. We are going to debit the drawings. 100,000. 100,000 drawings debit karana. Cash receipt and the payment journal lega hariya. Right, now we are coming to the last adjustment. Then balanna, you have received 2575. 2575 වඩ හම්බ වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඔයා කොච්චරක් වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවද? 2112ක් වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා. You have spent 2112. Then now you can easily calculate your closing cash balance. What a closing cash balance එක එනවා ළමයි 463. ඒක දැන් මේ වෙලෙම දාගෙන යන්න මේ cash balance එක දානකොටම දාගන්න. සමහරවල් cash account එක දුන්නොත් ඒකේ තියෙනවා. So I'm going to put the closing cash balance 463,000. එතකොට අර cash එනේවා යන්නේවා ඔක්කොම adjust වෙලා එනවා. All the cash receipts and payments are being adjusted. Right, done. Then එනකල් හරිද? හරිද? Right. So we are done with up to the cash receipts and the payment journal. Right, now come to the adjustments. Under that, the first adjustment. Following adjustment. Receivable and the payable balances. They say the closing debtor balance is 78,000. Abbalam kohonda meka adjust karanne kiyala. Right? Closing debtor balance. Let me put it like this. Right, sorry. Let me put it like this. Okay. Now, what they are saying is, right. Now, what they are saying is, Lamai, your closing debtor balance is 78,000. Again, ලබන අවුරුද්දට අරගෙන යන balance එක 76000. Next year opening is 78,000, which is a debit balance. Next year opening balance should be a debit balance of 78,000. Again, so in order to have a debit balance like this, your closing balance should come from the credit side. Again, closing balance එක credit side එක. හරිද? මොකද data is an asset. Your continuing balance should be a debit balance. ඔයාගේ closing 76000 ඉන්න ඕනේ මේ පැත්තේ. At the same time, we have to update the trial balance. Your closing balances are taken to the trial balance. So I'm going to put that into the debtor, which is a debit balance 78,000. ඒවා අමතක කරනවා වදාගන්න. Debtor 78,000. Next year or next month. Next, you are taking that to the next year. Generally, we say we are preparing for a year, no? So you are taking that balance to the next year, right? And you say next month, but generally we are considering financial year, right? So done. Then the creditor balance will say closing creditor balance is 125,000. So next year your opening creditor balance should be a credit balance. This is your opening balance for the next year. Thus, your current year closing balance should come from the debit side. Right, this is your closing balance. So the credit balance, I will put the creditor, I make a trial balance 125,000. 125,000. Right. Accrued electricity 12,500, which is a liability. So your next year opening balance should come from the credit side, 12,500. And I may have the closing from the debit side, 12,500. And closing balance here is a residual balance. We need to think about the carried forward balance. Update make it accrued electricity. We are going to take 12,500. 12,500. Finally, we have prepaid water bill. Update prepaid water bill, which is an asset. So next year opening balance should be 10,000. That means this year closing balance should come from the credit side, 10,000. Right. I'm going to put the prepaid electricity here, prepaid water bill here, prepaid water bill, which is an asset. Prepaid water bill is an asset, 10,000. Closing balances, you need to put that to the correct place. You need to think about the next year opening. Debtor next year opening should be an asset, no? So then it should come from the debit side. Opening balance to come from the debit side, your closing balance should come from the other side. Closing balance එක මෙහෙම ඉස්සරහට අරගෙන යන්නේ. තේරුණාද? Creditor liability, it should come from the credit side. එහෙම එන්න නම් closing balance එක debit එකෙන් එන්න. Closing balance should come from the debit side. දාන ගමන් මේ balance එක trial balance එකටත් අරන් යන්න. You will be taking the trial balance, the opening balances, හරිද? මේ closing balance එක අපි opening එක යන තැනට තමයි trial balance එකට අරන් යන්නේ. So debtor as debit balance, creditor credit balance, like that. හරි. මේ part එක තේරුණාද? Are we clear? මේක තේරුණාද? Trial balance question you are definitely getting. So you need to get the answer properly. Are we clear? Right? ළමයි මේකේ steps miss කරන්න එපා. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයා balance එකක් මෙතෙන්ට දාන ගමම්ම ඒක trial balance එකටත් යන්න ඕනේ. Those are the things you are going to miss. Right. So we have completed that adjustment. We'll move on to the second adjustment. Petty cash transaction. Now the petty cashier has received 25,000. No? He has spent. Yeah, petty cashier වියදම් කරලා තියෙනවා. Petty cashier has spent, right? Petty cashier has spent this value. For traveling 10,800, welfare 3,500, stationery. එතකොට මොකද්ද double entry එක? When you are spending from the petty cash balance will come down, credited to petty cash, debited to traveling expense. Credited to petty cash, debited to welfare expense. Credited to stationery, debited to stationery. So credited to petty cash, debited to stationery. එහෙනම් අපි මෙන්න මේ තුනේ expense entries ටික දාගන්න. Right? Okay. So I'm going to put the expense entries. So the traveling expense will be debited. Traveling expense will be debited 10,800. 10,800. Okay. $10,800. Right. Then we have the welfare credited to petty cash, debited to welfare expense 3,500. Stationery credited to petty cash, debited to stationery expense 2,700. හරිද? ඔන්න අපි petty cash expense කරපියෝ කොහොම ටික යදාල expenses ටික අපි ගෙනාවා trial balance එකට. Credited to petty cash, debited to expense. Ultimately you have a closing balance. Right now your petty cash closing balance is an asset. බලන්න මේ තියෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ petty cash එකේ credit පැත්තෙන් ඉතුරු වෙලා closing balance එක. මේක ඉස්සරහට යන්නේ next year එකට මොකක් විදියටද? As an opening balance from the debit side. So you have a petty cash asset. ඔයාගාව සල්ලි ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා. Petty cash has remaining cash balance of 8,000. That is an asset. Petty cash එකව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙන සල්ලි asset එකක්. So we'll put that one. Petty cash, which is an asset, 8,000. Petty cash asset එක අපි දාගත්තා රුපියල් 8,000. 8,000. Okay. Right. So we have completed. Next one, all the purchases and all the purchases are made on credit basis. There were no stocks. Furniture were acquired on 1st of October 2022 for 75,000. And they are depreciated on a straight line basis for 20% per annum. Hurry. We have to calculate the depreciation. We'll calculate the depreciation. Working number 1. Depreciation. We'll calculate. Right. So the furniture is 75,000. Depreciation percentage is 20%. 20%. Okay. And the period we are looking at. Period is only 6 months, no? 1st of October to 31st of March. Only 6 months. Right? Only 6 months. Only 6 months. Then we'll calculate the depreciation. Calculate 75,000 into 20% into 6 months. We'll be getting 7,500. 7,500. You know the double entry, debited to depreciation expense, credited to accumulated depreciation, which is a reduction of the asset. So it's a credit balance. Debited to depreciation, credited to accumulated depreciation. We'll pass a double entry here. Furniture depreciation 7,500 credited to accumulated furniture depreciation. Right. Okay. Right. So we have completed up to the depreciation calculation for 6 months as well. Okay. Right. Hari. කවුරු හරි මට කියන්න what is our next step? ඔක්කොම අපි කරලා තියෙන්නේ we have completed up to the depreciation as well. Depreciation at cal කරා. What should be our next step? ඊළඟ step එක මොකක්ද වෙන්න ඕන? Tell me. What is our next step? දැන් හරි ගානේ we have completed all the adjustments. What should be our next step? We need to close the T accounts. අපි මේ open කරපු T accounts අතර close කරන්න ඕනේ. We need to close the T accounts, right? So starting with we can start with the debtor. Debtor account close karamu, right? So 1.2 million and 78,000, 1.278,000. And what we get is sales here, right? Debited to debtor, credited to sales. Anna තියනවා අපේ sales figure එක දැන්. හරිද? Sales value should be calculated and should be added to the ledger. Super, right? Anna තියෙනවා. Now we got the sales figure 1,278, the credit sale. එහෙනම් අපි total sale එක දාගමු 625,000 cash sale plus the credit sale 1,278,000. 1,278,000. ඔන්න මම දාගත්තා. Right? Yes, very good. Right? ඔන්න අපි sale එක දාගත්තා. මේ cash sale එකට credit sale එක එකතු කරන්න. හරිද? Cash sale plus the credit sale. Right. Now we can calculate the credit purchase. Debited to purchase, credited to creditor, 1.7 million. 1.7 million is the total purchase. එහෙනම් මම ඒක update කරගන්නම්. Purchases, it's a debit 1.7 million. 1.7 million is the purchase. Purchases came to 1.7 million. 1.7 million is the purchase. Here, put the purchase to the trial balance. Purchase එක trial balance එකට දාගන්න. Purchase 1.7 million. You can calculate the electricity accordingly. Electricity expense will come to 101,500. You know the double entry, debited to electricity expense, credited to accrued electricity. Electricity expense එකට debit වෙනවා. මේකට credit වෙනවා, accrued එකට credit වුණා, electricity expense එකට debit වුණා. So the electricity expense will come to 101,500. 101,500. Okay. Right. Finally, you can calculate the water bill. Water bill will come to 23,000 minus 10,000. Sorry, 13,000. 23 minus 10,000. 13,000. That is your water bill. Right? ඒක අපිට දාගන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි. So you can put the water bill expense. You are coming to 13,000. Water bill expense will come to 13,000. Water bill expense will come to 13,000. Okay. Right. So we have completed taking out all the balances. Now we can just take the total of the trial balance. I'm getting 2,790,000 here, which will get balanced at 2,798. 2,798,000. Okay. All right. If you have any doubt, you can ask. So trial balance will get tallied at 2,798. So how you are supposed to do? Draft the trial balance. Then you need to pass a double entry, debit and credit, starting from the beginning. TNA debit, credit, දාගෙන. How many T accounts to open? Depending on the adjustment. How many debtor creditor balances are there? Right. Okay. So can sir explain how drawing come to the debit side? Drawing is always a debit balance. Drawing is where owner is withdrawing. Owner is withdrawing the money or the items. Then when owner withdraws money for his personal use, cash balance will come down. Then it will be a reduction of equity. No, equity is a credit balance. Equity is a credit balance. The reduction of equity is a debit. Drawing is always right a debit balance. Maximum number of adjustments. Maximum number of adjustments would be 4. Can we rewatch these paper discussions? I hope it will, right? I think JMC virtual learning platform for their YouTube channel, they'll be uploading, right? They will be uploading, right? But I don't know, it'll take a bit of time, no, Lamai? So please stay in the live class and get the maximum use of it. Harida? Right. Okay, good. Can we move on to the other question? Or if you have any question, you can ask. මේකට තේරුම් නැත්නම් අහන්න, or else we have completed, we can move on to the other question. Right? හරිද ළමයි කොහොමද තත්ත්වය? Yes or no? Shall we move on to the other question? Okay, to proceed. Right, sorry. So maximum number of adjustments is it's a maximum number of adjustments are like 4 adjustments. Right, okay. So shall move on to the question number 3 then, na? අපි යමු question number 3 එකට. Right, we have completed the first 10 marks question. Right. Okay, question number 3 is on manufacturing accounts. Let's see the requirement first. බලමු මොකද requirement එක. You are supposed to prepare the manufacturing account. Okay. And you are getting 10 marks for that. Preparation of manufacturing accounts, 10 marks. Right. Sarangi Enterprises manufactures a single product. Now we are glancing through the question. The following balances are extracted from the ledger for the year ended 31st of March. Inventories at cost of 1st of April 2022. Raw materials, work in progress, finished good. This is not relevant for us. Now my finished good is going for the trading account now. We have been asked to prepare the manufacturing account. Manufacturing account will cover from the raw material up to the completion of a work in progress. But once it becomes a finished good, it will go to the trading account. And the finished good එක අපිට එන්නේ නැත. Finished good inventory will not be covered from our purchase of raw material. Yes. Carriage inward. Carriage inward means the transportation cost on bringing the raw material. Raw material gain the gain and a cost. So that is yes. Carriage outward, no. Carriage outward means the transportation cost to deliver the finished goods to the customer. The carriage inward කියලා කියන්නේ ඇතුළට එන cost එක. Carriage inward, transportation cost of bringing the items to the business. That is yes. Raw material, no. Carriage outward, transportation cost from outside the business. That is going to the customer. So that is not part of our manufacturing account. Direct wages, yes. Indirect wages, right? Indirect wages, yes, we can. Yeah. When you see the word wages, ළමයි. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න මේක පොඩි point එකක්. මේ production පැත්තේ කට්ටියට ගෙවන salaries වලට අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන්නේ wages කියලා. Right? For the administration people, we say the salary. Production පැත්තේ කට්ටියට අපි මොකද කියන්නේ wages කියලා. There is a norm. There is kind of a term we use. අර the production පැත්තේ කට්ටියට කියනවා wage එකක්, වේතනයක් කියලා. Management එකේ ඉන්න admin කට්ටියට කියන්නේ වැටුප. වැටුප salary, වේතනය wage. Okay. Rent, yes, we are going to take that as well. Next one, electricity, there will be part of it. Water, factory equipment, maintenance, yes. Bad debt, no, bad debt is not coming under manufacturing. That goes to the distribution, selling and distribution. Plant and machinery at cost. What we need to take is the depreciation. Office equipment, no, that is not coming to us. No. Office equipment, no. Office equipment, damage raw material, yes, we have to deduct. Damage raw material. Salaries of the management. It's not factory management. Factory management කියලා නැහැ. Right? Therefore, this is going to the admin expense. මේක අපිට එන්නේත් නැහැ. Salaries of the management, no. Right. ඒක තමයි මම glass through කරන එක වැදගත්කම. හරිද? Additional information. Closing inventory. Raw material, yes. Work in progress at total production cost. ඒ කියන්නේ total production cost එකට. Finished goods, not so relevant for us. ඒක අපිට අදාළ නැහැ. Then they say rent 80%, electricity 80%, water 20%. Okay, that we have to factor. Rent has been prepaid by 4,000. Accrued electricity 2,000. හොඳයි. මම දැන් අහනවා නියම ප්‍රශ්නය මට හරියට උත්තරේ දෙන්න. Second adjustment එකද මුලින් කරන්න ඕනේ. Third එකයි fourth එකයිද? What should we do first? Do we need to do the second adjustment, or before that do we need to do the third and the fourth? What do you think? කියන්න බලන්න. මේ ගානටිය special ගාන. Yeah, very good, right? ළමයි, in this question, before you split this rent, electricity and water into 80-20, first of all you need to do the third and fourth. ඒකයි glance through කරන එකේ වැදගත්කම. හරි, සමහර කට්ටිය ඔහිය කරගෙන යනවා. Some people just do the question. No, you have to read and understand. Before I do the cost allocation, I have to do the prepaid and accrued adjustment. Okay. Then the depreciation, only the plant and machinery. Make a bit of that. Right. Super. Okay. So you know the next step. Requirement take value glance through kara. Third step is to draft the formats. Abhi then format tika draft karaga. Right. So the question we got is Sarangi manufacturers, Sarangi enterprises. Right. Sarangi enterprises manufacturing account for the year ended 31st of March 2023. Right. Okay. Right. So we'll draft the format. Figures are in rupees. Right. Okay, we'll start with the direct materials. So under the direct materials, we need to start with the opening stock, opening raw material stock. Then we'll be doing the purchases, and we need to add the carriage inward. Then we need to deduct the inventory damages. Finally, we need to deduct the closing inventory, closing raw material stock. Then you will get the raw material consumption. After that, we are going towards the direct labor cost. In the direct labor, we have the direct wages. We don't have any other direct costs, so then we'll come to the primary cost. After that, we have to have the production overheads. We'll keep some lines for that. Then you'll get the total manufacturing cost. For that, you do the plus opening work in progress. From that, you are going to deduct the closing work in progress. So you'll get the manufacturing cost of completed items. In this question, we don't have what we call the. I haven't included the profit margin. Profit margin. So this will be your basic format of the question, right? Sorry. Right. If you have completed up to this point, now please tell me if you have drafted. Right. ගන්න draft කරගත්තයින් පස්සේ මට කියන්න. Overheads වල ඉඩ තියන්න ළමයි චුට්ටක් හොඳේ. Please keep some space for the overheads. Right. Super. All right. Please do this drafting part quickly as possible. මම ඔයාලට මේ මගේ ක්ලාස් එක ළමයින්ට නම් මම නිතරම කියනවා තමයි ඔයාලට double AT එකේ එන්නේ ගණන් කීයද? Right. KPI එන්නේ whatever the questions you are getting, right? You are going to get a trial balance question. You are going to get a TB question. You are going to get a manufacturing account. You are going to get a correction of errors, right? Correction of errors. You are going to get a bank rec, right? You are going to get the accounting equation question. You are going to get a control account question. And you are going to get the sole prop question. These are the questions you are going to get. මෙන්න මේ ටිකේ formats එක ළමයි තනි කොලයකට ගහලා පොඩ්ඩක් තියාගන්න. A single page එක කටුව මාළු ලස්සන කටුවට formats එක ඔක්කොම. Trial balance එක ගෙවුවොත් කොහොමද එන්නේ format එක. Manufacturer account එකේ format එක. Correction of errors වල එන formats එක. Bank rec format එක. Because at the exam what you really need is the formats. Format එක ඕනේ. හරිද? Right. හරි නේද? කට්ටිය ඉවරයිද? Done. Right? Okay. So we have drafted the formats. අපි format එක draft කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Now we can actually start doing the paper. අපිට පුළුවන් ගාන පටන් ගන්න. ගාන. හරි. Okay. So I'll erase this one. Right. So we can start doing the question paper. Right. Okay. Now, in this type of a question, don't start from the beginning. Whenever you have been given a trial balance or certain ledger extracts, we are going to touch that as a last moment. මේක දැන් මෙතනින් පටන් ගන්න නෑ අපි ගන්න. ධනික ගණන් වල මුලින් පටන් ගන්නවා. That's normal. But in a manufacturing account, sole prop, right? You are not going to touch the balances extract or the trial balances. ඒකට අපි එන්නේ අන්තිමට. I will go to the adjustments. The adjustments වලින් පටන් ගන්නවා. Starting with the first one, closing inventory. What is the double entry for the closing inventory? Debited to inventory, credited to manufacturing account. Debited to inventory. Inventory is an asset. Inventory is an asset. තාම විකිනිලා නැහැ raw material තියෙනවා විකුණපු නැති. That's an asset. On the other side, it's an unsold. It has not been used for the completed product නේ තාම. Completed product එකට ගත්තේ නැති raw material ටිකක් නේ මේක. We have to remove that from the manufacturing account. Debited to inventory asset, credited to manufacturing account. එහෙනම් manufacturing account එකෙන් අඩු කරමු. යන්න closing raw material කියලා තියෙනවා. Deduct 11,750. 11,750. Right? 11,750. Right. Then look at the work in progress valued at the total production cost. I hope you all know that I have taught in my class that work in progress can be measured either at the primary cost or the total production cost. Primary cost means if the work in progress item, again halfway completed item is in the beginning of the production process. Work in progress කියලා කියන්නේ තාම කරගෙන යන වැඩනේ. කියන්නේ product එක පටන් ගත්තා ඉවර නැහැ. Halfway through. So it can be at the initial stage. Then you are valuing it at the primary cost. If it is somewhat completed, you are going to value at the total production cost. So this one is valued at the total production cost. එන අපි යනවා work in progress එකට, right? ඒක දාගන්නවා minus 14,670, right? 14,670. මේ අපි මේ මුද්දර මතක තියාගන්න first column එකේ දාන්නේ plus minus කරන ඔක්කොම first column එකේ. Second column එකට ගන්නේ මොනවද? Totals. හරිද? සමහර කටිය මේකේ දානවා නෝ. First column is there for the plus minuses. Second column is there for the totals. හරිද? Right. මේක හරි. වෙදාගන්න. Finish good දෙන්නේ confuse කරන්න. Finish good එකක් අපිට ඕනේ නැහැනේ. Right. Then we know that before the second adjustment, we are going to do the third and the fourth. අපි 3යි 4යි කරලා ඉන්නේ. මේ මොලේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. Rent has been prepaid by 4,000. ඔයාගේ rent එක තියෙනවා ලබන අවුරුද්දට එක්ක ගෙවලා තියෙනවලු 4,000. For the next year, right? For the next month, you have paid 4,000. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? What is the double entry? That you have to recognize as a prepaid asset, no? Debited to rent prepayment, which is an asset. Debited to rent prepayment. ලබන අවුරුද්දටත් ගෙවපු rent එක මේ අවුරුද්ද වියදමක් එන්නේ නැහැ. ලබන අවුරුද්දට එක්ක ගෙවපු rent එක ලබන අවුරුද්ද වියදම. So you have to recognize that payment made for the next year as an asset because you have paid for the next year. And you are going to reduce that from the rent expense. Debited to rent prepayment, credited to rent expense. And after rent expense එකෙන් අඩු කරනවා. Go to the production overhead, rent, right? So we are going to deduct 4,000. අපි දාගන්නවා එතන minus 4,000 කියලා. මම මේ column එක නෙවෙයි හොඳේ. main column දෙකක් නේ ගානේ තියෙන. මම මේ additionally කැලලක් තියාගත්තා. ඔයා නිකන් rent කියලා. ඒ rent කියන තැනම ඉස්සරහින් ඍණ 4,000යි කියලා ලිව්වොත් ඇති. මම මට මෙතන ලියාගන්න බැරි හන්ද මම මේ වෙනම පොඩි කොලම් එකක් මම දාගත්තා. මේක ගානේ කොලම් එකක් නෙවෙයි. මට ගණන් හදන්න දාගත්තා. ඔයාලට තියෙන rent එක ඉස්සරහින් ඍණ 4,000යි කියලා ලියාගන්න. So the expense will come down, credited to rent expense, debited to rent prepayment. හරිද? Right. Next item is accrued electricity 2,000. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? For the last you haven't paid the electricity 2,000. ඔයාගේ අන්තිම මාසේ තියෙන electricity එක 2,000ක් ගෙවලා නැහැ. You haven't paid the electricity for the last month. But you have consumed the electricity facility. You have used the electricity facility. As per the accrual concept, it doesn't matter whether you have paid or not. If you have if that expense is incurred, you have to account. You have accrued entry දාන්න වෙනවා. What is the double entry? Debited to expense, electricity expense, credited to accrued electricity. Debited to electricity expense, credited to accrued electricity. අහන අපි එක දාගන්නවා electricity එකට that will be a plus 2,000 plus 2,000 හරිද මම ඔයාට ඔයා ලියන විදිහ මේක දාන්නම් එතකොට ඔයා මෙන්න මෙහෙම ලියාගත්තා නම් හරි rent එක ගාවින් ලියාගත්තා නම් හරි minus 4,000 කියලා electricity කියන එක ගාවින් ලියාගත්තා නම් හරි plus 2,000 මොනවද හරිද right මම වැඩි now we have done the second and the third, so third and the fourth adjustment. 3යි 4යි කරා. හරිද? තමයි trial balance ගන්නට වඩා manufacturing account එක ලේසියි. Right? Compare trial balance, manufacturing account is much easier. කවදාත් ඒක අතරින්ක ඔයාට උන මුලින්ම කරන්න manufacturing account එක paper එකේ. easy නේ. ලකුණු 10 කෙලින්ම ගෙඩි පිටි. ලේසියෙන් එනවා. Right. Now we are moving to the second adjustment. මොකද අපි ඒක skip කරගෙන නැහැ මේක කරලා ඉන්න බෑ. Right. Rent 80%, electricity 80%, water 20%. හරි අපිට දාන්න වෙනවා rent, electricity and water. අපි බලමුකෝ rent එකේ we have to take the expense. අපිට ගන්න වෙනවා expense එක. Go to the trial balance. Rent එක කීයද බලන්න 49,000. 49,000 rent එක. හරි minus 4,000 plus 49,000. ඒකෙන් අපි ගන්නෙ කොච්චරද 80%. electricity එකේ කොච්චරද දෙන්නේ plus 2,000. electricity තියනවා ළමයි how much is there electricity තියනවාට ඔක්කොම කීයද right 30,000 electricity is there 30,000 එහෙනම් අපි ඒක එකතු කරගමු 30,000 so we are going to add 30,000 ඒ set එකටම එනවා කොච්චරද 80% water මොකද තාත්තේ water we are going to take only 20% 15,000 120යි 15,000 into 20%. Right. හරි මම මේ figures ටික ගණන් කරලා දාන්නම්. minus 4,000 plus 49,000 into 80% is 36,000. 32,000 into 80% is 25,600. 15,000 into 20% is 3,000. Another. ඒක ඕකේද when you are doing a question limit try to find the connected adjustments so then you need to think about what should we do first right හරි මේක ඕකේද ළමයි තේරුණාද Are you all okay? Right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you. Right. Oh. Then we'll move on to the next adjustment, Lamai. Depreciation. What we need to carry is only the plant and machinery depreciation. How much is the value of the plant and machinery? 200,000. Depreciation rate 10%. Plant and machinery is an overhead, no? Plant and machinery depreciation. You know the double entry, debited to depreciation expense, credited to accumulated depreciation. So we'll do the calculation 200,000 into 10%. 200,000 into 10%. Right. So that is 200,000 into 10%, 20,000. 20,000. I will calculate the calculation. It's okay. Right. All right. So that's it. We have completed the adjustments. The adjustments pretty easy. Now we have to take the balances from the extracted adjustments. Easy, not difficult. Right. We'll start from the beginning. Opening raw material stock 10,400. Right. We'll put opening raw material stock 10,400. Right. Opening work in progress stock 12,600. Opening work in progress stock 12,600. Please put opening raw material stock 10,400. Opening work in progress 12,600. Right. Bye-bye. In the manufacturing account, we classify the cost as the direct cost and the overhead. Direct costs are the expenses that are directly connected with the output of the product. So the direct material, the material cost vary with the output, direct labor cost vary with the output. The cost items which are not directly connected are the overheads. Right. Second point, why do we add opening stock? Why do we deduct closing stock? Closing stock are the incompleted items, raw material incompleted items. So that will be completed in the next year. That is why we are deducting from the current year manufacturing cost. Api calculate manufacturing cost of completed items. No? So always we have to deduct the closing stock. Why are we adding the opening stock? That was the last year closing stock. This year those were completed. That is why we are adding. Theory points right. Finished good purchase of raw material 146,200. Then carriage inward 3,160. Carriage outward we don't care. Direct wages 249, 400. If there are two other direct wages, then have the total here and take it to the other side. Indirect wages, that is come to the overheads. Indirect wages, which is 54,650. Rent එක අපි ගත්තා. Electricity board එකත් ගත්තා. Factory equipment maintenance. Factory equipment maintenance 12,600. Factory equipment maintenance 12,600. Bad debt, it's not coming. Plant and machinery depreciation taken. Office equipment we don't take. Damaged raw material we have to deduct. Damaged raw material we have to deduct. Minus 2,000. Damaged raw material means that is not a completed product. No? So you have to remove it from the manufacturing cost. We have to recognize that as an other expense in the profit or loss. Ek ape inventory king adu vela other expense ekkata yanawa. Ape inventory අයින් කරන්න. හරිද? Right. Salary of the management. Then if they were to sell the salaries of the factory management or salary of the supervisor, I would have taken. Salary of the supervisor, salary of the factory management, but it just say salaries of management. So assuming it's an admin cost, I will not be taken. Note salary of management was assumed as an admin cost. Doubt assumption liyan. Otherwise, it will be your assumption is in your head. Nobody else knows it. So please write your assumptions. right? That's it. Now we can do the calculations. But I can calculate the uh, raw material consumption 146010. Thus, I can calculate the primary cost 395410. I can calculate the total production overhead 151,850. Thus, I can calculate the total manufacturing cost 157,260. Then we'll do the working capital adjustment, which is minus. So you can calculate the total manufacturing cost 154,190. Okay. So the total manufacturing cost came to 154,190. I would rather say the easiest question, Lavai. Manufacturing accounts are the easiest question. Right. If you're okay, we can proceed. If you have any question, you can ask. තමයි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න, තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම් අහන්න. ආට යන වික්‍රමයේ වෙනසක් වෙන්න ඕන නම් කියන්න. Right? Okay. වේගය වැඩි නම් කියන්න. Please let me know if I'm too speed. Because I have increased the speed a little bit because I have to cover a lot. Right. If it is okay, then let me know so that I can proceed to the next question. හරි. තේරුණා නම් okay නම් මට message එකක් දාන්න දෙන්න. Right? Okay, right. Thank you. Right. So we have completed 2 questions out of 5. Huh? Right, 2 questions out of 5. Right. So let us move on to question number 4. Let's move on to question number 4. Right. Okay, manufacturing cost completed. Easy peasy. Right. Okay, the next question. You are given the impact of below 5 transactions to the accounting equation of a sole proprietorship. You are required to identify the possible transactions for each of the above items from 1 to 5. Right. These are easy questions. May hardly easy prashna. Right. Okay. You need to write the transaction. That are the possible transactions. We'll take one by one separately. We'll take the first one. Right. Sorry. Now look here. In the first one, PP has increased by 2 million. PP has increased by 2 million. Bank balance has increased by 2 million. PP increased by 2 million. Bank balance increased by 2 million. Capital increased by 4 million. So it's pretty obvious. This is where the owner is investing in the business. Owner has invested property, plant and equipment 2 million and cash worth of 2 million to the business. So we'll write that. Right. This is question number 4A. Right. Right. The first transaction is owner has invested rupees 2 million and rupees 2 million in cash and rupees 2 million worth of property, plant and equipment in the business. Right. So that is the first transaction. Owner has invested rupees 2 million in cash and 2 million worth of property, plant and equipment in the business. Easy. Right? Not a difficult part. Right. තමයි එක ලේසි එකක්. කන්ද අපි කරගෙන යමු. Right? Okay. Look at the second one. Can anyone tell me what is the second one? Inventory has increased by 500,000. Bank balance has reduced by 250,000. Credit has increased by 250,000. What are the You are purchasing inventory worth of 500,000. That include both cash purchase 250 and credit purchase 250. ඉන්වෙන්ටරි අරගෙන තියෙනවා සල්ලි දීලා 250කුයි ණයට ක්‍රෙඩිට් එකට අරන් තියෙනවා 250. Right, the second one, business has purchased rupees 500,000 worth of inventory, of which rupees 250,000 is on cash and balance on credit. Business has purchased rupees 500,000 worth of inventory, of which 250,000 is on cash, balance on credit. මට මේක ඕන විදිහට ලියන්න පුළුවන් හොඳේ. මේ මාරඩේ මට මෙහෙම ලියන්න හිතෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. මෙහෙම ලියන්න ඕනේ. If you can write the idea in your words that can be understood by the examiner, then it's okay. මේ විදියටම ලියන්න ඕනේ කියලා එකක් නැහැ. අදහස හරියට ලියුණා නම් ඇති. Okay? Easy. Right. හරි. තුන්වෙනි එක මට කවුරු හරි කියන්න ඕනේ. Inventory has reduced by 25,000. Bank balance has reduced by 50,000. Equity has reduced by 75,000. Inventory reduced by 25,000. Bank balance reduced by 50,000. Capital reduced by 75,000. What is this transaction? Someone can unmute and tell, or you can send a message. One word answer. එක වචනයයි තියෙන මෙතන. Yes, we'll see. People are sending me the messages. Drawings. Very good. Drawings. Right? Drawings. Nothing else. Drawings. Okay. Right. So we'll write the answer. So you are drawing both inventory and cash. You are drawing both inventory and cash. So the third one, rupees 75,000 worth of drawings made by the owner, of which rupees 25,000 is a goods drawing and balance on cash. Right? Balance on cash. Right. Very good. Now, with 75,000 worth of drawings made by the owner, of which 25,000 is a goods drawing or inventory drawing or stock drawing. You can use whatever the word. And the balance is cash drawing. Balance is cash drawing. Balance is cash drawing. Right? Easy. Right. Bank balance has reduced by 100,000. Capital reduced by 150,000. Accrued expenses increased by 50,000. So what has happened? There's an expense which has a value of 150,000. But you have paid only 100,000. The remaining balance is payable. අපි තුමු ඉලෙක්ට්‍රිසිටි එක්ස්පෙන්ස් එකක් කරලා තියෙනවා 1,50,000ක ලක්ෂයක් ගෙවලා ඉතිරි 50,000 ගෙවන්න දෙපේ. රෙන්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා 1,50,000ක ලක්ෂයක් ගෙවලා ඉතිරි 50,000 ගෙවන්න තියෙනවා. Like that. Okay. So write the answer. Fourth one. An expense incurred worth of rupees 150,000, of which rupees 100,000 was paid in cash and balance is payable. An expense incurred worth of rupees 150,000, of which rupees 100,000 was paid in cash and balance is payable. Balance is payable. Balance is payable. right? මම මේ චුට්ටක් ඉතින් transactions එකක් වැඩි කරලා දැම්මේ සාමාන්‍ය මෙච්චර මෙහෙම වහන්නේ නැහැ හොඳේ. But it's good, right? So you know the extreme ends as well, right? Last one. Inventory reduced by 300,000, debtors increased by 400,000, capital increased by 100,000. 300,000 worth of inventory sold at 400,000 on credit and earning a profit of 100,000, right? Rupees 300,000 worth of inventory has been sold on credit for rupees 400,000. That's it. You don't need to say that you have earned a profit of 100,000. Profit එක ආවා කියලා කියන්න අත්‍යවශ්‍ය නැහැ. Right? All right. Are we clear with the question number 4 part A? Question number 4 part A, is it okay? තේරුණාද? ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? ගැටලු තියෙනවද? කියන්න.
All well, sir. තේරුණා. ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ.
Okay, super. Right, it's an easy question. Right, you can easily score. Right. Q. Right. Okay, so here we comes to the bank reconciliation question. ළමයි, bank rec question will be there for 5 marks. ලකුණු 5කට bank rec එකක් තියෙනවා. Right, and it's not a difficult question, it's easy. It's not a difficult question, it's easy. Last week I explained the theory. මම bank rec වල theory ටික ගිය සති වීඩියෝ එකේදී කියලා දුන්නා. If there are my theory class students in Gampa branch, right, that is the last lesson we are supposed to do. අපි කරන් තියෙන lesson නේ, but not a difficult question. It's very easy, right? Now let me brush your memory on bank recs, right? Once again මම චුට්ටක් වඩා මතක් කරන්න. Now typically in a business we maintain the bank accounts, that is typically a current account. Generally we refer the bank account as cash account. අපි ඒකට කියන්නේ cash කියන නම. කෙනෙක් කියන්න පුළුවන් සර් කෑෂ් කියන්නේ සල්ලිනේ ඇයි ඒකට බැංක් කියන්නේ නැත්තේ? That's the general terminology we use. Businesses don't do transactions in cash, they do in bank, but for the bank account we use the term cash. So one side we have this cash account, which is the current account of the business, and for that current account the bank is also keeping the records, and end of the month they are sending a record called the bank statement. So in the business we have the cash account, we record all the cash receipt and the payment. Bank is also keeping a record, and bank is sending the bank statement. And for company, your bank account is an asset. So all the receipts are debited, all the payments are credited. Company එකට bank account එකේ asset යන්නේ. සල්ලි එන්න bank balance එක වැඩි වෙනවා, debited. සල්ලි අඩු ගෙවන්න bank balance එක අඩු වෙනවා, credited. But for the bank, your bank account, the business bank account is a liability. අනුන්ගේ සල්ලිනේ bank එකේ තියන් ඉන්නේ. So that they treat as a liability. So when the receipts are coming to the bank, bank වල වැඩිපුර සල්ලි එනකොට liability වැඩි වෙනවා. So the credit. When the payments are going away from the bank, then the liability comes down, debit. So we would say bank account and the bank statement is kind of a mirror opposite. Bank අපේ cash book එකේ debit කරන එක bank account එකේ credit වෙනවා. Bank account එක අපේ cash book එකට credit කරන ඒවා bank account එකට debit වෙනවා. Mirror opposite එක. Ideally two balances should be telling with each other, but there are differences. There are differences based on 3 reasons. හේතු තුනක් උඩ. One is omissions. Omissions කියන්නේ අතෑරිලා තියෙනවා. Sometimes accountant has missed, right? Accountant has missed certain things. Bank charges, checkbook charges, OD interest, loan interest, standing order payments, direct deposits, or accountant miss, right? And the second difference is what we call the errors. Sometimes accountant is making errors. Sometimes bank is making errors, right? First one omissions, second one errors. Third one is what we call the timing differences. Timing difference is nobody's fault. කාගවත් වරදක් නැහැ. It's happening because of the certain issues with the certain the practices or the methods of the banking system and the way the people do work like that. So for an example, right, in our cash book we have made a deposit. අපි deposit එක දැම්මා. But in the banking system, it will take 1 or 2 days to realize. අපි අද දැම්මට check එක බැංකුවට එන්නේ දවස් දෙකකට පස්සේ. We made the payment today. But the recipient is presenting that check to the bank after maybe couple of weeks. අද check එක දුන්නා අපි මනුස්සයෙක්ට මෙන්න වාගේ payment එකේ check එක. එයා බැංකුවට ඕක දාන්නේ සතියකට පස්සේ. That will create some differences in the cash book balance and the statement balance. Those differences, how we adjust? Omissions and the errors made by the accountants are adjusted to the cash book. accountant ගේ මිස් වෙච්ච ඒවා ළමයි accountant අතෑරුනේ ඒවයි accountant වැරදිච්ච ඒවයි cash book එකේ හදන. Errors made by the bank and the timing differences are shown in the reconciliation. Reconciliation එකේ වැරදි හදන්න බෑ, වැරදි පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන්. You can show. Reconciliation is a good tool to identify what are the errors and mistakes and what are the differences, right? That we show by their difference. Right. මම theory එක ගිය සතියේත් කිව්වා අදත් ආයෙ මතක් කරා. Right. You are supposed to prepare the adjusted cash control account and the bank rec. හරි අපි හදමු ඔය දෙක. Right. Question number 4B. You are supposed to prepare the adjusted cash book. You are supposed to prepare the adjusted cash book. Right, we'll take that as the cash book. And we need to prepare the reconciliation. Reconciliation එක මෙතන ගන්න. We need the rest, the bank reconciliation. I mean, it's not bank reconciliation, it's reconciliation. හරිද? සමහර කට කියනවා reconciliation කියලා. Reconciliation නේ reconciliation. Bank reconciliation. Right. So in the cash book, you have an opening balance. And finally, you will come to the closing balance. ඔක්කොම adjustment කරයින් පස්සේ ආයෙත් ඔයාගේ closing balance එකට. We'll come to the closing balance. This, whatever the closing balance will be taken here, the adjusted cash book balance. මේ කියනවා අපේ bank rec එකට adjusted cash book balance එකට. After doing all the plus and minus adjustments, finally you will arrive at balance as per the bank statement. Or the balance as per the bank statement. නෝම තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ටික තමයි කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. හරි. draft කරගන්න ළමයි මෙන්න මේ දෙක cash book එකයි bank rec එකයි. මෙන්න මේ වගේ formats ටික ඔයාට නිකන් shape එකේ කොලයක ගහ ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් එතකොට ඔයාට exam එක දවසේ උදේ යන ගමන් තනි කොලයක් තියෙනවා. ඒකේ තියෙනවා එන්න පුළුවන් ගණන් ටිකේ ඔක්කොම formats එක. ඒක දිහා එක කොලයයි. ඒක දිහා බලන් හිටියාම sol prop එකක් ආව නම් මේකයි statement එක, rec එකක් ආව නම් මෙහෙමයි කරන්නේ. much easier. කල්පනා කරලා බලන්න. හරි. format එක දාගෙන ඉවර නම් මට ඕකේ එකක් දෙන්න. Okay, right, super. Right, so this is basically the simple format. Now we are going to do the question. අපි දැන් ගාන කරන්නයි හදන්නේ. Right. Okay, we'll start from the beginning. The balance of the cash control account is 25,000. හරි. අපි ඒක මුලින්ම දාගමු. 25,000. හරි. Okay. Balance of the cash book is 25,000. Right. Following reasons were found later. First one, bank charge 2,000. What is the double entry? Bank charge එක. බැංකුවේ යාළගේ එක එක සර්විස් වලට බැංකුවෙන් charge එකක් කපනවා. Bank is charging something. Then what will happen? Your bank balance, your cash book balance should come down. Cash book balance should come down. Bank charge expense will increase. Right? බැංකුවෙන් කපා ගත්තම ළමයි බැංකුවේ බැලන්ස් එක අඩු වෙනවනේ. credited to bank. right? අපි බැංකුවෙන් cash account එක credited to cash, debited to bank charge. එහෙනම් අපි cash book account එකනේ හදන්නේ. cash book account එක අඩු කරමු 2000ක්. මොනවා කියලාද? bank charge කියලා. bank charge. මේක අඩු කරමු. හරිද? right? okay. Look at the next item. checkbook charge 1000. checkbook charge එක ගම මොකද වෙන්නේ? bank your cash book balance should come down. cash book කියන්නේ මම මෙතන bank account එක කියන එක. හොඳයි. cash book should come down. credited to cash book, debited to bank book sorry checkbook charge, credited to cash book, debited to checkbook charge. right. එහෙනම් අපි මේක දාගන්නවා අපේ cash book එකෙන් අඩු කරනවා 1000ක් check book charge. හරිද? checkbook charge. checkbook charge. see 1000 මේකක් දාන්න. double entry තමයි ළමයි. double entry තමයි ආයෙ වෙන මොනවත් නැහැ. හරි. The beauty of accounting is everywhere you can see the double entry and equation and the accounting concept. So everything is connected. Right. Look at the second one. Cash control account is overstated by 3000. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේ තියෙන 25000 balance එක right here this 25000 balance is overstated. මේක වැඩිද? overstate කියන්නේ වැඩි කියන එක. ඒක අඩු කරන්න එපා. So we'll remove that overstatement. අපි overstatement එක අයින් කරමු. කීයක්ද? 3000. එතකොට ඒක overstatement එක අයින් කරන්න නම් credit කරන්න ඕනේ. We have to credit. Right? In order to remove the overstatement, I'm going to credit. Overstate කියන්නේ වැඩි වෙලානේ. ඒක අඩු කරන්න නම් අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ. Credited 3000. හරි. Direct deposit by debtor 5000 was not recorded in the cash control account. Direct deposit එකක් තියෙනවා 5000ක්. ඒක record කරලා නැහැ. When there's a direct deposit, what will happen? Right? When debtor is making a payment to us, our cash balance will increase. Cash balance will increase. Debtor should come down. Debited to cash, credited to debtor. Debited to cash, credited to debtor. හරි අපි එන එකක් දාගමුකෝ. 5000ක් debit කරනවා debtor කියලා. right. මේකත් හරි. හරිනේ. කොඩේ දාලා තියෙනවා. හරි දැන් කලබල වෙන්න එපා මේ account එක close කරලා balance ගන්න නෙවෙයි. අපි හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න T accounts close කරන්නේ statement close කරන්නේ අන්තිමට. that's the last step we do. ඒ වගේ ඔයගේ ඔළුව වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ. මම දැන් හැමදාම කියනවා should work. right. ඔන්න අපි adjustment දැන් කොහොමත් අපි ළමයි adjustment මේ තුනක්ම ඉවර කරා. මේ තුනම හරි. Look at the fourth adjustment. Right. Question. Sir, can we credit the cash book saying suspense account referring to the overstated? Yeah, that's okay. Right? Suspense account එකට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන පුළුවන් ඒ overstatement එක. Someone can use the suspense account. Right? That's okay. Right, good. Right. Okay. Now fourth one is little tricky. හතරවෙනි එක ටිකක් tricky. බලමු කොහොමද මේක දාන්නේ. Bank has erroneously debited. මම මතක තියන්න I told you for the company your cash is an asset. company එකට මේ cash එක කියන්නේ වාගේ bank book එකේ asset එක. But for the bank it's a liability. bank උ liability. The question is bank has erroneously debited. bank කරපු වරදක් අපිට cash book එකේ adjust කරන්න බෑ. If the error has done by the bank, you cannot adjust in the cash book. You can only show that in the rec. අපේ rec එකේ පෙන්වන්නයි දැන් මේ හදන්නේ. වෙලා තියෙන වරද. Bank has erroneously debited. හොඳට හිතලා කියන්න බැංකුව ඩෙබිට් කරා කියලා කියන්නේ balance එක වැඩි වෙලාද අඩු වෙලාද? Bank has erroneously අඩු වෙලා. Very good. For the bank it's a liability. Liability debited means liability is coming down. හරි. දැන් ඔන්න අපි rec එකට යන්නේ මේක. මම කියන්නේ rec එකට යන්නේ දේවල් දෙකයි. බැංකුවේ වැරදි timing differences. Errors made by the bank and the timing differences. Right. Now we will put that one into our hand. මම මේක ගිය සති කියලා දුන්න ක්‍රමය. So one hand you are going to refer that as the cash book. මේ තියෙන cash book එක. This is the cash book. This is the bank statement. දැන් මේ ගානේ අපි යන්නේ කොහේ ඉඳලා කොහෙටද? From the cash book to the bank statement. From the cash book to the bank statement. හරි මොකද්ද අපි දැන් කරන්නේ? මුලින්ම අත සමානව තියාගන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් මේ දෙකම මුලින්ම tally වෙන අවස්ථාව. Cash book, bank statement, tally. Then you adjust this transaction. මේ ගණන දෙනුත් කරනවා ඊට පස්සේ අපි. bank has erroneously debited. Bank ko debit kara කියන අඩු වුණා කියන එක. So the statement balance is lower. එයා debit කරලා නේ තියෙන්නේ. Bank ko liability and bank for the bank it's a liability no. So bank has erroneously debited. So the statement balance is lower. This is the cash book balance. This is statement balance. Right? Cash book balance is higher. Statement balance is lower. කොහෙන්දලා කොහෙටද යන්නේ? From the cash book to the statement. From the cash book to the statement. එහෙනම් මට කියන අපි අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ එකතු කරන්න ඕනේ. cash book එකේ ඉඳලා statement එකට යනවා. Are we supposed to deduct or add?
Deduct.
We have to deduct. We have to deduct. Why? අපි යන්නේ cash book එකේ ඉඳලා statement එකට. මේ කොයි වෙලේවත් so the balance is lower. From the cash book, you are coming down to the statement. So we are going to deduct the error by bank. We are going to deduct minus 3,000. Right, minus 3,000. Right. Error by bank minus 3,000. Okay. Right. Then look at the next item. 7,000 worth of checks deposited has not been realized. This is the cash book, statement, cash book, statement. 7,000 checks deposited. Accountant check. Accountant has deposited 7,000 worth of checks. So the cash book balance is higher. It has not come to the bank yet. Statement realized statement balance is lower. You have deposited, cash book balance is higher. It has not come to the statement. And cash book වැඩි statement එක අඩුයි. වැඩි එකෙන් ඉඳලා අඩු එකට යන්න නම් අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ. So we are going to deduct unrealized deposits minus 7,000. මේවා කටපාඩම් කරන්න එපා. සමහර කට්ටිය හැම වෙලෙම කටපාඩම් කරනවා unrealized අඩු කරනවා unpresented එකතු කරනවා කියලා. මාරු කරලා දුන්නොත් statement එකේ ඉඳලා cash book යන්න කිව්වොත් ඒක අනිත් පැත්ත යන්නේ. Right, the last one is 10,000 worth of checks has been issued and that has not been paid yet. 10,000 check issue කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ check වල තාම ගෙවලා නැහැ. check ටික තාම බැංකුවට ඇවිත් නැහැ. Checks have not been presented to the bank yet. Checks have not been presented to the bank yet. Right. Then what will happen? Cash book, bank statement. Cash book, bank statement. Now the accountant has issued the checks. Accountant checks issue කරනකොට cash book එක අඩු කරනවා. When accountant issues the check, they will reduce the cash book. Creditor. Cash book එක අඩුයි. It has not come to the statement yet. බැංකුවට තාම present වෙලා නැහැ. Statement balance is higher, cash book balance is lower. අඩු කෙනාගේ ඉඳලා වැඩි කෙනාට යන්න නම් එකතු කරන්න ඕනේ. So we are going to add unpresented payments 10,000. Right. හරිනේ. ඔන්න ගාන හරි. දැන් අපිට පුළුවන් ළමයි මේක close කරන්න. Now only we can close. දැන් අපිට පුළුවන් මේක close කරන්න. Take the total here 30,000 and deduct the balances from here. So 25 plus 5,000 minus 2,000 minus 3,000 is 3,000. So I'm getting 24,000. ඔන්න එනවා වගේ adjusted cash book balance එක ආව 24,000. මේ පැත්තෙන් කීය දෙන්නේ 10,000 මේ පැත්තෙන් මොනවද දෙන්නේ minus 10,000. So the balance as per the bank statement is 24,000. Balance as per the bank statement is 24,000. Okay. So is it okay to do 82 online without going for physical classes? Yeah, you can do. Right? If somebody is having a difficulty for going for the physical classes, it's okay. There are a number of students in our vLearning platform, they are doing online. So you can use the JMC virtual learning platform and learn online. But the only thing is you need to be committed. විභාගේ කට ළඟට ඇවිල්ලි ඉවර වෙලා වීඩියෝස් ටික ඔක්කොම ලෝඩ් කරගෙන එතකොට නිකන් පිස්සු හැදෙනවා. ඒවා ටික ටික බලාගෙන ටියුට් ප්‍රින්ට් කරගෙන ඒක ටික ටික ඉවර කරගෙන යන්න පාඩමෙන් පාඩම ඉවර කරගෙන යන්න. So you have 6 months. You have to divide it. ටික ටික කරගෙන යන්න. අන්තිම මොහොතේ අරගෙන කරන්න යන්න එපා ළමයි. People will suffer. අන්තිම මොහොතේ වීඩියෝස් තියෙනවා හෙන්න කැටියක් දැක්කම එපා වෙනවා එහෙම. You have to do that properly. If you don't have that discipline, then go to the physical classes. ඒ කියන්නේ නිකන් හරි. එහෙම නැතුව අන්තිම මොහොතේ ඔක්කොම කරන්න යන කෙනෙක් වගේ නම් physical class එකකට යන්න. Right? You have JMC physical classes around the country. Can go. හරි. මේක ඕකේනේ. Question number 4 එකත් ඉවර කරා. ඕකේ නම් කියන්න අපි 5 එකට යමු. Correction of errors. Okay. Right. Right. So we are moving towards question number 5 then. අපි යනවා ප්‍රශ්න අංක 5ට. Right. Okay. Question number 5. Look at the requirement, Ghana requirement table, and you are required to prepare the journal entries to rectify the above errors. Journal entries under 4 marks. Calculate the adjusted profit or loss for 2 marks. Adjusted P&L prepare the suspense account. You are supposed to prepare the suspense account and find the suspense account balance. Right. We'll start from the beginning. The trial balance prepared by the account assistant of Dulika Traders as at 31st of March 2023 did not agree. The difference was debited to a suspense account. And the draft financial statements were prepared. The profit of 850,000 was shown as per the draft financial statements for the year. Following errors were identified subsequently. Discount given 50,000 has been recorded as a discount received. However, the debtors control account has been correctly adjusted. Stationery expense 25,000 has been taken as 52,000 in the stationery account. This has been correctly recorded in the cash book. Electricity bill for the month of March 2023, 35,000 has been completely omitted. Okay. Right. Look at the next one. Purchase of a photocopy machine. Purchase of a photocopy machine for rupees 350,000 has been recorded in the equipment maintenance account. This was correctly recorded in the cash book. Right? Rent income 50,000 has been erroneously debited as 5,000 in the rent expense account. It has been correctly recorded in the cash book. Credit purchase 25,000 has been recorded as a credit sale in debtors account and sales account. Right? Okay. Please read the adjustments again. Adjustment we have to do 6 adjustments. At the exam, right? You will be getting like nearly like 5, sometimes 6 adjustment, 5 adjustment maybe. And generally they don't ask you to prepare both corrected P&L and the suspense account. Right. Okay, these are the things that you're supposed to do. So you know the next step. You know the steps. Requirement, glance to format. Format sticker. You need to prepare the general journal You need to prepare this is question number 5A. You need to prepare the general journal. You need to prepare the general journal. Right? You need to prepare the general journal. You got debit and the credit. Right? And apart from that, you need to prepare the suspense account. And we don't know the opening balance of the suspense account. Suspense account balance is done. Plus, you need to prepare the correction of profit statement. Correction of profit statement. So you're going to prepare a small statement like this. Where we have the draft profit, which we do the plus adjustments, and we will be doing the minus adjustment, and ultimately we will get the corrected profit. Right? So simply we might need some space here. Highlight. Okay, that's it. These are the requirements of this question. මේක දාගෙන මට okay කරන්න. Draft profit is given to us as 850,000, right? දාගත්තා නම් මට කියන්න. හරි නම් කියන්න. Okay. Right. Can anyone confirm too? Formats are ready. In the exam, don't spend unnecessary time on formats. Adi rule අරගෙන ලස්සනට ලියලා topic එක පාටකින් විස්තර තව පාටකින් adjustment වෙන පාටකින්, right? Don't do some unnecessary things in the exam, right? Okay, so these are the formats for this question. Now we can start. My way of doing is lamai අපි ගානක් කරනකොට from adjustment to adjustment we are going to complete double entry, suspense account adjustment, and the draft profit. Right. Now quick thing lamai මේක මම අපේ class එක ළමයින් නම් කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා. Right, when it comes to right, we'll take something like this: income, expense, and profit. Debit and the credit in relationship. Right. Something that I have explained in the theory class of mine. Right. Whenever income is debited, what will happen? Income and debit income will be reduced. Right? Income will be reduced. Right? I'll put it like this. Then not lazy. Right. Now, give me a second. Right. Make a product when we reach it. Make a product balagan hamoma. Right. I'm going to show you something very important. Right. Okay. When the income is debited, income will be reduced. Then what will happen? Profit will be reduced. When the income is credited, income will increase. Income may credit again, income may value again. When the income increase, the profit will increase. Income may adu වෙනවා. Income debit වෙනවා කියන්නේ income එකක් අඩු වෙනවා. So profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. Income එකක් credit වෙනවා කියන්නේ income එකක් වැඩි වෙනවා. Profit will increase. Then when expense debited, expense එකක් debit වෙනවා කියන්නේ expense එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Expense will increase. What will happen to profit? Profit will reduce. වියදම වැඩි වුණාට profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. When the expense credit, expense will be reduced. Right? But the profit will be, expense එකක් අඩු වෙන එක profit will be increased. හරිද? හරි. මේ ලියලා තියෙන මෙන්න මේක තේරුණාද බලන්න. Right? income එක debit වුණාම income එක අඩු වෙනවා profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. income එක credit වුණාම income එක වැඩි වෙලා profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. expense එක debit වුණොත් expense එක වැඩි වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. expense එක credit වුණොත් expense එක අඩු වෙනවා profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. හරි. මේක ඕකේද? මම මේ දාලා තියෙන පොඩි table එක ඕකේද කියන්නේ තේරෙනවද කියන්නේ? මේ දාලා තියෙන චූටි table එක ඕකේද? Okay, right. Now I want you to show something, right? Lamai. Now, when it comes to income and the expenses, we learn something. මම මේ මැද තියෙන මේ column එක අයින් කරනවා. I'm going to remove this column. මම මේක අයින් කරලා මේ profit column එක මෙතෙන්ට ගේන්න. Now look here. Debit නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. Credit නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Right? අර table එකේම මම අර income expense වල තියෙන individual items එක අඩු කරා. So we can create a relationship, right? It can be an income, it can be an expense. Debit වුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Debit වුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? Profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. සරලව වාට ගේන්න පුළුවන්. It can be income or an expense. If it is debit, that means the profit will reduce. Profit minus. Income and expense. Income and expense. Credit. Then what will happen? Your profit will increase. ඔයාලට මෙතන පොඩි මෙන්න මේ වගේ පොඩි කනෙක්ෂන් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? income and expense එක debit වුණොත් profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. credit වුණොත් profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. තේරුණාද? debit profit will come down. credit profit will increase. හරි. මේ සරල logic එක තේරුණාද? Because we are going to use it in the profit statement. All the debits are minuses, all the credits are pluses. Right? Income expenses විතරයි හොඳේ. Income expense debit කියන්නේ profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. Income expense credit කියලා කියන්නේ profit එක වැඩි. හරි. ඒක තේරුණාද? හරි. මේ අලුත් මම කියලා දෙන පුංචි logic එක තේරුණාද? Are we clear? Yes or no? ආදායමක් වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ credit. ආදායම් වැඩි වුණොත් profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. හරිද? වියදමක් අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ credit නේ. වියදම අඩු වුණාමත් වෙන්නේ profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ආදායමක් හරි වියදමක් හරි credit වෙනවා කියන්නේ profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. ආදායම අඩු වුණොත් එහෙනම් profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. ආදායම අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ debit. වියදම වැඩි වුණොත් profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. වියදම වැඩි වෙනවා කියන්නේ debit. I can debit නිසා profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. හරි. මේක තේරුණාද? Yes or no? ළමයි, please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Understood. Right. So we are going to use that concept. හරි. අපි ඒකත් දැන් පාවිච්චි කරලා ගාන හදමු. Right. මම මේකත් මෙහෙම තිබ්බා. හරි. අපි යමු ගානට. We'll take one by one adjustment. Right. Look here the first adjustment. පළවෙනි adjustment එක බලන්න. Discount given to a debtor 50,000 has been recorded as a discount received. However, the debtor's control account has been correctly adjusted. හරි. දැන් මේකෙදි මම චුට්ටක් මම මේ පාර්ට් එක පොඩ්ඩක් ඉරේස් කරන්න මට මේ ඔයාලා මේක තේරුම් ගන්න නැති කියලා මම හිතනවා. I'll put it into some other place. මම මේක වෙන පොඩ්ඩක් දාන්න. හරි. Right. Now look here. When it comes to the discount received, what is the correct entry? මොකක්ද හරි entry එක? Discount එකක් අපි discount given එකක් නේ. අපි discount එකක් දුන්නා. මොකක්ද දාන entry එක? So it's an expense debited to discount given, credited to debtor. ඕකනේ දාන්න ඕනේ entry එක. Now what is the wrong entry they have passed? මොකක්ද දාලා තියෙන වැරදි entry එක? යාලා දාලා තියෙන වැරදි entry එක. They have put that as a discount received. What they have done is credited to discount received. ඒගොල්ලෝ දාලා තියෙන discount received එකට. And they have credited the debtor as well. ඕක තමයි දාලා තියෙන entry. මේක තමයි යන්න ඕනි entry එක, මේක තමයි දාලා තියෙන entry එක. දැන් අපි මේක correct කරන්න ඕනේ. තමයි මේ debtor පැත්තේ අවුලක් නැහැනේ. debtor ගේ පැත්තේ entry එක හරි. ඒක අවුලක් නැහැ. අපිට ඕනේ discount given debit වෙන්න. We need to debit a discount given. And we need to remove this discount receipt. හරි. එහෙනම් like this you have to pass a double entry. Discount allowed or the discount given will be debited. How much? 50,000. And we have to remove the discount received. මේක අයින් කරන්නත් එපා. මේක අයින් කරනවා. Discount received will be debited. අයින් කරන්න නම් debit කරන්න එපා. 50,000. What is the credit කරන්නේ? Where should we credit? There's no other place to credit, so it will go to the suspense account. Suspense account will be credited 100,000. Now, suspense account is neither an income or expense or either, right? Even if monoda thirteen neti category. Right. Please write a narration. Abhi narration likh liya mo. Right. Correcting. You can consider it as a clerical error even. Correcting the clerical error on discounts. Right. You have to always start with the word correcting. Harada. Right. Na api palawani ekේ entry ඉවර කරා. ඊට පස්සේ entry. Correcting the clerical error on discounts. නැතහට error වර්ගය මතක් වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ළමයි correcting the error on discounts කියලා දාන්න වෙයි තියයි. Right. නැත්නම් සම්පූර්ණ වාක්‍ය ලියන්න. Correcting the error of discount allowed recognized as discount received. කාට හරි මේ narration එක හරියට හිතා ගන්න බෑ වගේ. එහෙනම් සම්පූර්ණ ගනුදෙනු එකම ලියන්න. Correcting the error of discount given recognized as discount received. හරි ඕන එක ලියන්න. කාට හරි තේරෙන්නේ නැත. Correcting the error of discount given recognized as discount received. ඕම ලියන්න මොනවද බය වෙන්න බෑ. You're going to get the marks. Don't worry. Right? Nah. Then මෙතන මේක ඉවර කරන්න එපා. You have to complete the suspense and the profit statement. හරි suspense account එකට credit කරන්න ලක්ෂයක්. Suspense account will be credited 100,000 as discounts. එක දාගන්න discounts කියලා. හරිද? Discounts. හරි. තාම මොනවද යන්නේ profit statement එකට යන්න. Now in the profit statement only the income and the expenses. Income and the expenses. You need to put that as plus or minus. කොහොමද මේක plus the minus කියලා decide කරන්නේ? හරි ලේසි මම දැන් කිව්වා. Debit වුණාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? profit එක අඩු වෙනවා. Credit වුණොත් එකතු වෙනවා. මෙතන තියෙන්නේ debit එකක් නේ. Debit. එහෙනම් එක අපි අඩු කරමු. Discounts given and allowed received. දෙකම එකට මම ගන්නම් ළමයි. So I'm going to put that as minus 100,000. ඔයාට ඕන නම් නිකන් plus දාලා එකතුව ගන්නකොට minus කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. That's up to you. ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. Now we have corrected the first error. මේක තමයි ළමයි කරන්නේ නැති දේ. error එක correct කරලා ආයෙම උඩ ඉඳලා බලාගෙන යනවා suspense account එක බලන්න. ආයෙම බලාගෙන යනවා correction of profit. Parallelly කරන්න. Do it parallelly. Right? Okay. So the first one completed. First one completed. First one completed. We'll go to the second one. We have දෙවෙනි එකට stationery expense of rupees 25,000 has been taken as 52,000 in the stationery account. Stationery expense of 25,000 has been taken as 52,000 in the stationery account, but correctly recorded in the cash book. දැන් බලමු මේකේ wrong entry අයි correct entry අයි මොකක්ද කියලා. හරිද? right. Now stationery expense should have been recorded as debited to stationery. කියන්න ඕනේ මෙහෙමනේ debited to stationery 25,000. Credited to cash 25,000. ඔකනේ යන්න ඕනේ. මෙයාලා දාලා තියෙන මොකද? Debited to stationery 52,000. Credited to cash ඒක හරියට දාලා 25,000. ඕක තමයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ. This is the correct entry that should have been posted. This is the wrong entry. Now we can see cash. There's no issue. Cash වල අවුලක් නැත. Cash වල අවුලක් නැහැ. Stationery එකේ තමයි අවුල තියෙන්නේ. Stationery they have put higher. වැඩිපුර value එකක් දාලා. එහෙනම් අපි stationery එක අඩු කරමු. We have to reduce the stationery. Station expense එක අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ. Then what will happen? Right? Your stationery expense will be credited the difference 52,000 minus 25,000 27,000. ඒක වෙන දාන්න වෙන කොහෙවත්ම නැහැ. So then that will be going to the suspense account. Suspense account will be debited 27,000. Right. We'll put the narration correcting the error of මම the errors වර්ග වලින් නැතුව අට නිකන් සරල විදිහට කියන්න. Correcting the error of overstatement in stationery expense. Correcting the error of overstatement in the stationery expense. ඉවර නෑ හොඳේ තාම. ඒවා මේ අනිත් දෙකට අප්ඩේට් කරන්න ඕනේ. Right. So we'll update at the same time. Debited to suspense 27,000 27,000 දානවා suspense එකට stationery කියලා. Right. Then stationery is an expense credit. මට කවුරු හරි මේක හිතලා කියන්න plus the minus ද කියලා profit statement එකේ expense එකක් credit වෙනවා කියන්නේ expense එකක් අඩු වෙනවා. Plus the minus should we add or deduct? Expense being credited. Simple logic එකක් කියලා දුන්නා. Expense
Add.
credit na? Yeah, we have to add. හරි ලේසි. Income expense එකක් credit එකතු කරා debit අඩු කරා. චලයි සරල තියරි එක. Right? So we are going to add the stationery 27,000. Right, easy. Right. So two adjustments we have completed. Right. We'll move on to the third one. Third one is pretty easy. Electricity bill for the month of March 35,000 has been completely omitted. Electricity bill එක දාලම නැහැ. සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අමතක වෙලා. Then we have to account it no. ඒ කියන්නේ අමතක වෙලා කියන්නේ ඔක ගෙවලත් නැහැ නේ ළමයි. So month of March කියන්නේ last month. Month of March is the last month. You haven't accounted that means you haven't paid even. So you pass the double entry. හරිද? ඒක ලේසි ළමයි. ඒක ආය අමාරු නෑ. Electricity expense will be debited 35,000. Credited to accrued electricity or the electricity payable will be credited. Accrued electricity will be credited 35,000. අපි ඒකේ narration එක දානවා. Correcting the omission of electricity expense. Omission on electricity expense. Easy. Right. Please remember to put the narrations. You are getting marks for that. Right. That does not go to the suspense account. Nothing to do here. So you need to update the profit statement. Accrued electricity is a liability. Yeah? That does not go to the profit statement. Electricity expense debit. Expense or debit, you know, can expense or value, you know. When the expense goes up, profit should come down. All the debits, minuses. So electricity expense, we are going to deduct 35. හරි ලේසි. income expense debit එක අඩු කරා credit එක එකතු කරා එච්චරයි. Right? Okay. Right. We'll go to the other adjustment. මේ adjustment තුන ළමයි පොඩ්ඩක් පල්ලෙහාට දාගන්නම්. Then it'll be easier for me to do the question. හරිද? Right. So මේ ඔක්කොම එක තැනට තියෙන ලේසි. හරි. අපි යමු ඊළඟ adjustment එකට. fourth one. Fourth one, the question says a photocopy machine of 350,000 has been recorded as equipment maintenance. හරිද? මෙයාලා මොකද්ද කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා බලමුකෝ. They have purchased a photocopy. The correct entry should be debited to photocopy machine and credited to cash. What is the entry they have passed? Debited to equipment maintenance and credited to cash. Okay, දාලා තියෙන්නේ. Cash entry is correct, no? There's nothing wrong here. It is not equipment maintenance, it is photocopy. ඒකන්ද equipment එකෙන් අයින් කරලා photocopy එකට දාන්න තියෙන්නේ. So photocopy machine debit 350,000. Right? 350,000. Equipment maintenance credit 350,000. This is a correction of, this is a principal error. Correcting error of principal, principal on photocopy machine. කවුරු හරි කෙනෙක් මෙහෙම ලිව්වත් හරි. Correcting the error of photocopy machine recognized as equipment maintenance. ලකුණු හම්බෙනවා. Don't worry. බය වෙන්න එපා. Right. So photocopy machine is an asset. Photocopy machine can asset එකක්. That will not impact the profit statement. There's no suspense or anything. Equipment maintenance is an expense. Equipment maintenance is an expense. Now expense is coming down. Equipment maintenance credited. Expense එක අඩු වෙනවා. අඩු වෙනවා කියන්නේ profit එක වැඩි වෙනවා. So we'll update here. Equipment maintenance 350,000. Right? Sorry. My bad. Credit. Sorry. Equipment maintenance. That will be added 350,000. 350,000. Right. Lama, is it okay up to this point? Okay there.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So we are moving towards the next question. Rent income 50,000. There's a rent income 50,000 has been erroneously debited as rupees 5,000 in the rent expense account, but correctly recorded in the cash book. Rent income එක rent expense එකක් විදිහට දාලා ඒකත් වැරදි amount එක. Right. We'll see. Now we'll see what is the correct entry and what is the wrong entry. මේක තමයි ඔයාලා method එක. Correct entry should be debited to cash 50,000 and credited to rent income 50,000. Okay, hurry entry එක. මෙයාලා දාලා තියෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? Debited to cash 50,000 ඒක අවුලක් නෑ. Debit කරලා rent expense 5,000. ඕක තමයි දාලා තියෙන්නේ. What they have done is debited to cash 50,000, right, and debited to rent expense. What they should have done is debited to cash 50,000, credited to rent income. හරි එහෙනම් දැන් මේක correct කරමුකෝ අපි. Cash පැත්ත අවුලක් නෑ. Cash nothing to do. ඒක අවුලක් නෑ. We have to credit the rent income. Rent income එක credit කරන්න එපායි. Rent income credited 50,000. Rent expense එක අයින් කරන්නත් එපායි. Rent expense will be credited 5,000. මේ කොහෙද දාන්නේ? වෙන දාන්න තැනක් නැහැ. වෙන අවුලක් නැහැනේ. That will be going to the suspense account. Correcting the error of rent income recognized as rent expense. Right? Don't too much bothered about the narrations. අවශ්‍ය පණිවිඩය ලියවිලා තියෙනවා නම් ඇති. Right. Okay. So we'll have to update the suspense account will be updated 55,000 as rent. Right. Then the rent income and expense both credited. Credit can have a plus adjustment again. Rent income may credit to rent income value profit. Rent expense credit to rent expense aduela 8 profit value. So we'll put that as rent 55,000. Okay. Make okay the lamai. With that we can move on to the last one. Okay. So moving towards the last adjustment, right? A credit purchase, it should go to the creditors and the purchase, 25,000. Has been recorded as credit sale in debtors and sales. Hurry entry and money. The correct entry should have gone to the, right? It should be recorded as debited to purchase 25,000. Credited to creditor 25,000. They have recorded as debited to debtor 25,000. Credited to sales 25,000. In a piece of right? They should have recorded as debited to purchase, credited to creditor. They have recorded as debited to debtor, credited to sales. Then move the correct. Right? We'll first pass the correct entry. Right? Purchase debit 25,000. Creditors credit 25,000. Then we have to remove this wrong entry. Wrong entry, I can reverse act the hand. Sales will be debited 25,000. Debtor will be credited 25. Correcting the error of this kind of a commission, or you can consider as a clerical error, commission on purchases, credit purchase. Neva errors were go never added on some point viscerally and go ahead. Right? Okay. There's no impact to the suspense account. Creditor is a liability. It will not go to the profit or loss, even the debtor. But these two will go. Purchase debit and sales debit. Purchase debit can purchase value, profit adueno. Sales debit can sales aduela, profit adueno. So all the debits are minuses, no? So we'll put that as purchase and sales. Total together minus 50,000. No, everything we have completed. Right. Suspense account balance karamula. Sorry, suspense account will balance it out. Suspense account ke difference ekam lazy නෙමෙයි. මේ පැත්තේ තියෙනවා ලක්ෂයක් එකෙන් අඩු කරා 27,000 and 55,000. You'll get the opening balance 18,000. Draft profit එකක් ගම් බලන්න. 432,000. 185,000. So you'll get a draft profit. A draft profit එක එනවා. The draft profit will come to 1,97,000. 1,97,000. Okay. හරි නේද ළමයි? බලන්න මේ ටික ඕකේද කියලා මට confirm කරන්න. Actually our time is up, right? We should decide what we should do now. The session is there for 7 to 9, right? Right. Right. Okay. Super. Okay. ළමයි. Right. Now, ideally our time is up, but what if we take a couple of minutes and complete the paper? Paper අපි ඉවර කරමුද මොකද තත්ත්වය? Right? We have done up to 5.5. We have to do the question number 6 and part B of question. Right. Okay. ළමයි අනික අය මොකද කියන්නේ? ඕකේද? Right. Others, please let me know. Right. Okay. Right. හරි. අපි ඉවර කරන්න බලමු ළමයි. That's the better way because I won't be taking another day. Right. So we'll try to complete the paper as soon as possible. Right, guys. So we have completed everything here. මේ ගානේ මේ කොටස අපි කරා. That's part B. Part B එකක් තියෙනවා. Not a difficult part. Right. Yeah. Look at the requirement, ළමයි. You are supposed to prepare the creditors control account for 3 marks. Whatever the information given is there, you need to actually prepare the creditors control account. We'll see what are the information here. Following information was extracted from the books of Manuka, right, for the month of March. You have the creditors control account balance as at 1st of March. That is the opening balance. Then you have the purchase journal. Purchase journal is there for the credit purchases. Okay, that is there. Sales journal, we are supposed to prepare the creditors control account. Sales journal, return outward. Return outward are the purchase returns. අපි එළියට යවන returns ටික කියන අපි supplier යවන ඒවානේ purchase returns. So that yes, we need to take. Payments to the creditors, yes, we have to take. Discount received. We are receiving the discounts from our creditor. So that even we have to take. ඒකත් දෙනවා. Discounts given ඒකෙන්නේ අපි discounts දෙන්නේ debtorටනේ. Right. Okay, that's it. So we will open up a T account. Right, we'll open up a T account, ළමයි. Okay. Right. Let us open up a T account. Let me name that as the creditors control account. Right, we are doing question number 5 part B. Right. හරි creditors control account එක දාගන්න ළමයි. මේක හරිම ලේසි ගණන් ලකුණු 3යි. දාගන්න දෙකුත් නැහැ ඉරක් ගහගත්ත එච්චරයි. Right? හරි. අපි දීලා තියෙන තොරතුරු ටික දාගෙන යමු easy. Right, not a difficult one. Okay, so the creditors control account, you have an opening balance. Creditors control account is a liability. Therefore, the opening balance is coming from the credit side. Right. So your opening balance is 875,000. So that is your opening balance. සමහර කට්ටිය මේක දානවා balance brought forward. That's okay. That's up to you. Right? Opening balance from the credit side. purchase journal, that is the credit purchase. Purchase journal is used to record all the credit purchases. What is the double entry for the credit purchase? Purchase debit, creditors credit. So you're going to credit the purchase creditors account 2,350,000 as purchases. Creditors account a credit to na purchases කියලා. Right. Sales journal is not coming. Return outwards 575,000. Return outwards is about the purchase returns. Returning the items back to the supplier. අපි supplier return කරනකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Right. One side your purchase return, your purchase is coming down, so purchase return credited. And my creditors liability will come down. I'm again ගන්න creditor liability වැඩි වෙනවා. එයාට return කරන්න අඩු වෙනවා. So that will be debited. 575,000 will be debited as purchase returns. Purchase returns. Right. Then what else? Payment to the creditor. Creditors are given more cash will come down. Creditor will come down. Creditor will be debited 1,450,000 as cash. As cash. Right. Finally, discount received. Discount received means lamai sometimes when we make the payments earlier, our creditor will allow us a discount. Creditor will give us kind of a courtesy saying you don't have to pay this 50,000, we'll waive off. So that's the benefit we are getting. Credited to discount received account, debited to creditors control. Creditor king adu nevenne. Creditor king adu veno 50,000. So as discount received, debited to creditor. Now we can calculate the closing balance. After closing balance, calculate. Right, easy. Closing balance is coming from the your closing balance will be the next year opening balance now. Here is your closing balance, which will become your next year opening balance. කොහොමද ගන්නෙ? මේ පැත්ත වැඩිනේ. ඒකෙන් මේ පැත්ත අඩු කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. හරි. ලේසි. මේක ගත්තා. මේක එකතු කරා. මේ සෙට් එක අඩු කරන් ගියා. වැඩි පැත්තෙන් අඩු පැත්ත අඩු කරන්න. So closing balance is 1,150,000. Your closing balance is 1,150,000. If you're okay, let me know so that we can move on to the final question. The solve prop. ඔයාලා ready නම් කියන්න solve prop එකට යන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, right. Super. ළමයි, we are doing this class 1 month ahead. අපි මේ mock paper discussion එක කරන්නේ 1 month ahead. So please get the maximum use of it. Right. So we are moving towards the last question, ළමයි. That is the solve prop. Section C, 20 marks, solve prop. Right. We'll start from the requirement. Always follow the steps. Prepare statement of comprehensive income, statement of financial position. 20 marks. Now you know the requirements. Start from the beginning. Minoli Traders is a sole proprietorship owned by Minoli. The trial balance of Minoli Traders as at 31st of March 2023 is given below. Figure sign 1,000. That can mean metana thousands na we gana then thousands selling hadanna yan. Good. PPE, you have land, you have building, motor vehicle, office equipment. Then you have the accumulated depreciation for those. Opening balances. You got the sales, purchases, opening inventory, capital, FD. FD opened on 1st of October. That means for this year, we have like 6 months. Definitely there will be an interest adjustment. Fixed deposit, anivaryam. Trade receivable, trade payable, electricity, salaries, transport, water, bank charge, rent, interest income on fixed deposit. Here, 50 rupees. Cash in hand, cash at bank. Right. Then we look at the adjustments. Closing inventory as at 31st of March was valued at a cost of rupees 3,000. Please highlight important information. On 31st December 2022, an office equipment was purchased. Office equipment was purchased for rupees 500,000 using a 10% loan. On 31st of December, office equipment has been purchased for 500,000 on a 10% loan. However, this transaction has not been recorded. Loan repayments were not made. Then බලන්න අපිට කොච්චරක් record කරන්න ඕනද? Office equipment record කරන්න ඕන. Loan we have to record. Interest we have to record. Loan එක record කරේ නැහැ කියන්නේ interest එක record වෙලා නැහැ. Office equipment, loan and the loan interest. For how many months? මාස කීයද? You have taken this on 31st of December, no? 31st of December to 31st of March 12, we have only 3 months. මාස 3කට loan interest එක accrue කරන්න ඕනේ. තාම ගෙවලා නැහැනේ. But you have to accrue the interest. Interest එක given වෙලාවෙ නෙවෙයි expense වෙන්නේ. No, interest is incurred with the passage of time. පොලිය කියලා කියන්නේ කාලයට අනුගත වියදමක්. So you have to record that to the relevant period. The policy of the business is to provide depreciation on a straight line basis. Building 10%, motor vehicle 25%, office equipment 10%. Interest rate applicable for the fixed deposit is 8%. Interest receivable for the month of March has not been accounted. FD එක දාලා මාස 6යිනේ. අන්තිම මාසයක account කළා නැහැ. The last month interest has not been accounted. We have to calculate and we have to account. Next item. Accrued expenses and the prepayments. Accrued electricity 75, prepaid water bill 21. Right. Minority traders decided to write off 100 as bad debt. Bad debt විදියට 100ක් කපනවා. From the remaining balance, 10% doubtful debt provision will be made. Doubtful debt so far has not been tested, but it is in the syllabus. That is why I have included this as an adjustment. Doubtful debt එක අහුවෙලා නැති අය ඉන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So I'll be explaining doubtful debt as well. අහලා නැහැ, අහන්නෙත් නැහැ කියලා මට හිතෙනවා, but to the safe side. Hari, that's it. We know the question. We need to draft the statements. Right. So we are going to draft the statements. Minoli traders statement of comprehensive income for the year ended 31st of March 2023. Figure sign rupees thousands. You start with the revenue. From that you deduct the cost of sales. So you calculate the cost of sale, opening inventory, and what you do is you plus the purchases. Give some lines, then you will deduct the closing inventory. Then you will arrive at the gross profit. Thereafter, you have the other income. Then you have the selling and distribution expenses. Is some space administration expenses. Some space finance expenses. Some space You'll arrive at the net profit. Right. So these are the items in the profit or loss. Profit or loss එකේ තියෙන items ටික තමයි මම දැන් කිව්වේ. Up to the net profit. Okay. Right. ළමයි. හරි. මේක දාගන්නකො. මේ ඇති වෙන ඉඩ තියන්න මම මේ මට ඕන තරම් ඉඩ ගන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි Excel එකේ. Right. That is why I have kept small space here. Right. හරි. P&L එක draft කරගන්න. Right. At the same time, shall I draft the right? Shall I draft the financial position as well? Statement of financial position as at 31st of March 2023, rupees in thousands. So you got several items. You have the cost, accumulated depreciation, and the net book value. You take comes. Then we have the non-current assets. After that, we have the property, plant and equipment. We have the land. We have the building. We have the motor vehicles, and we have the office equipment. And other than that, we have the fixed deposit. Then we have the current assets. Then we have the inventory. We have the trade debtors. From the trade debtors, there will be provision for doubtful debt. Then interest receivable can be there. Then prepayments are there. Cash and cash equivalents. Total assets. So please let me show up to the point that I have completed. And my financial position, these are the items in the asset side. And make it complete karagana so that I will draft the liabilities and equity side. මෙතෙන්ට වෙනකල් කරලා කියන්න. So what are cash equivalents? Very good. The cash equivalents are like, now for an example, savings accounts, right? Cash equivalents are the short-term investments which are highly liquid. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ cash වගේම තමයි saving account එක balance එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒක අපිට ටක් ගාලා cash කරන්න පුළුවන්. Highly liquid short-term investments. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඒ කියන්නේ මාස 3කට වඩා අඩු maturity period එකක් තියෙනවා. If you have a 1 month fixed deposit, that will go to cash equivalent. මුදල් හා සමාන දෑ කියන එක. මුදල් වගේම තමයි. saving account එකෙන් සල්ලිම තමයි. සල්ලි නෙවෙයි සල්ලිම වගේ. නේ. හරි. PNL එකයි මේ ටික draft කරලා ඉවර වෙලා මට කියන්න පොඩ්ඩක්. I have to draft the liabilities and equity side. Okay. Right. හරි. කෙනෙක් දාලා තියෙනවා draft කරගත්තා කියලා අනික් අය කොහොමද? Okay. Right. Super. ළමයි. Okay නේද? Who has confirmed? Shall I move on to complete my draft on the financial position?
Okay, sir.
Right. So we'll have to prepare the equity side of it. So on the equity, you have the capital. Then for that, you are going to add the profit for the year, profit. Then finally, you have the non-current liabilities. Yeah, we have a loan in this question. And under the current liabilities, right, there are several items. Current liabilities are items keep up. We have the trade creditor. We have the accrued expenses. And not only that, there's an interest payable. Interest payable is there, right? On equity side, they got complete කරගන්න. Right. If the entire format is okay, please let me know so that I can start the question. ඔක්කොම format එක දාගත්තා නම් ලේසි මට ටක් ගාලා ගාන පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. තමයි exam එකේදී format ගහ ගහ ඉන්න ගොඩාක් වෙලා ගන්න එපා. Right. Okay. So we have completed taking our formats. So we can start with the workings. Right. Okay. Always remember, you don't have to write the double entries or double entry ලියන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. But just for the sake of the students only, I will give the double entries. මම double entries ටික දෙන්නකොට ලියන්නම්. ඒක exam එකේදී කරන්න ඕනේ. Right? Okay. Right. We'll start with the first one. Right. We'll start with the first one. ළමයි. First one. First working is on closing inventory. මේවා exam එකේදී ලියන්න ඕනේ. ළමයි. මේ exam model එකෙන්ම කරන්නද මුකුත් ලියන්න නැතුව? Is it okay? නැත්නම් ඔයාලා මේක දැකලා ඉවරලා ඔයාලත් ලියන්න ගයිද දන්නේ. Right.
Yes, okay.
Right. So I'll use the way that you should do in the exam. Right. Okay. So we'll go to the question. We'll start with the additional information. The first one says closing inventory is valued at 3,000. That is the first adjustment. Closing inventory valued at 3,000. Now what you need to do is for each adjustment, if there's any calculation, do a working. Calculation is working at current. Other than that, just pass the double entry, debit and the credit. Closing inventory. That means unsold inventory. Closing inventory is unsold inventory. We know that all the purchases are added here. This purchase include the unsold inventory as well. This unsold inventory shall be removed from the cost of sale. It's not a cost of sale. And inventory is an asset. So what we are going to do is, right, we are going to debit that asset. Inventory will be debited 3,000. And we are going to remove that from the cost of sale. Debited to inventory, credited to cost of sale. Debited to inventory, credited to cost of sales. That is the first adjustment always in a question. අපේ නොබිකිනී ඉතිරි වෙලා තියෙන තෝගේ අපේ වත්කමක් ඒක වත්කමකට අඳුන ගන්න ගමන් ගැනුම් පිරිවෙන් අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. We are supposed to remove that from the purchase cost. Right, that's the first adjustment. Okay. හරි මාත් එක්කම කරගෙන යමු. Right, we look at the second one. ඊළඟ adjustment එක බලන්න. On 31st of December 2022, an office equipment was purchased for rupees 500,000 using a 10% loan. However, this transaction has not been recorded and the loan repayments were not made. Now look here. Now in this transaction, what has happened? You have purchased an equipment through a loan and you haven't recorded it. Mokadda mekata dala double entry, can anyone tell me? You have purchased an office equipment for 500,000, you haven't recorded it on loan. Mokadda double entry, debited to
Debited to office equipment.
Debited to office equipment, credited to
Other payables.
Other payables, in other words, the loan. Right? Make a loan nekin aran කියලා තියෙන හන්ද we'll take that to a loan. So debited to office equipment. ළමයි ඔයාලා මෙතන office equipment cost එක කියන තැන plus 500 කියලා ලියා ගන්න. මට මම Excel එකේ හන්ද මං කෙලින් මේක add කරගන්න. හරිද? ඔයාලා මෙතන plus 500 කියලා ලියා ගත්තා නම් හරි. ඒක closing balance එක නෙමෙයි. We have an opening balance. We just have to write that as plus 500. Right. Debited to office equipment. Credited to loan. Loan එකට credit කරන්න. මේ first column එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ PP එකට විතරයි. මේ column එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ මේ cost column එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ PP විතරයි. අපි අනික ඒවා දාන්නේ second column එකේ. So the loan value is rupees 500. Debited to equipment, credited to loan. Debited to equipment, credited to loan. Okay. Right. So then we need to calculate the loan interest. Shall we calculate the loan interest? ඒක අපිට calculate කරන්න වෙනවා. Calculations පෙන්නන්න. So the loan balance is 500. Interest rate is, as per the question, 10%. Interest rate is 10%. Right? And the period is 3 months. Then the interest expense will be 500 into 10% into 3 divided by 12, 30. You'll be getting 12.5. Pade 12.5 කියලා. It's okay. Right, 12.5. Right. So we'll pass a double entry. Right, debited to interest expense. Interest expense is a finance expense. Debited to interest expense. Debited to interest expense. වෙන මොනවද ඇති නැද්ද මම කෙලින්ම දාගන්නවා 12.5 කියලා. Debited to interest expense. Debited to interest expense. Credited to interest payable. Lamai, interest is not added to a loan. So interest is something you're supposed to pay. So that's a separate liability called interest payable. Debited to interest expense, which is an expense. Credited to interest payable. You're supposed to pay the interest. Interest payable එකට අපි credit කරගන්නවා 12.5. Okay? Under the current liabilities, interest payable 12.5. Debited to interest expense, credited to interest payable. Are electricity expense වගේ තමයි. Debited to electricity expense, credited to accrued වගේ. ඔයා තාම ගෙවලා නැති ඉන්ට්‍රස්ට් එක බුක් කරනවා. Okay?
Okay.
Right. Then we have the depreciation. So depreciation is a calculation that you have to show. ඒක පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ. Right. So we need to calculate the depreciation for building, motor vehicle, and office equipment. Office equipment, we have the old and new. Office equipment වර්ග දෙකක් තියෙනවානේ. Office equipment new items are also there. මම ඒක වෙනම ගන්නවා. For lazy one. හරිද? Office equipment, we have the motor vehicle like that. Sorry. මෙන්න මේ විදිහට මම items හතර දාගන්නවා. Office equipment old, office equipment new. හරිද? Items හතර දාගන්න. Depreciation. Right. First of all, we'll take the cost. अब මේකේ cost එක ගමුකෝ බලන්න. Building 4750, motor vehicle 2500, office equipment all 1700, new 500. අලුතෙන් ආවනේ 500ක් ගත්තානේ. ඒ සෙට් එකත් එක්ක. මම සතයින් කරන්නම්කෝ. Right. හරිද? Right. Then apply the depreciation rate. Depreciation rate එක දාන්න. Building 10%, of motor vehicle 25%, office equipment 10%. දශම ස්ථාන දාන්න. Right. Then apply the period. කොච්චර කාලයක්ද අපි depreciate කරන්නේ? Building for 1 year, motor vehicle 1 year, office equipment old 1 year. New equipment was purchased on 31st of December. මේක අරගත්ත 31st of December නේ. This one is only for 3 months. Right. Now you can calculate the depreciation. $475. Right. Should be getting the answer. This one, right. It's at 12.4. Okay. Right. So you got the answers. Building, motor vehicle, old office equipment, and the new office equipment. ඒක අර කැඩෙන හන්දම වෙන වෙනම ගන්න. Right? So you know the double entry for depreciation, debited to depreciation expense, credited to accumulated depreciation. All right. We'll pass a double entry. Building depreciation is an admin expense. Debited to building depreciation. The value is 475. Motor vehicle is a selling and distribution expense. Motor vehicle depreciation 625. Office equipment is an admin expense. Office equipment depreciation. I'll take both of them together, old and new. 170 plus 12.5. On a depreciation expense add kara. Debited to depreciation. Debited to depreciation. Debited to depreciation. Debit entry them. Right? Credited to accumulate depreciation. The මෙතනත් ළමයි හරිද එකපාරම closing balance එක දාන්න එපා. දැන් opening balance ඔයාලා මෙතන plus විදියට දාගන්න. Building එකට එනවා plus 475. මේකට එකතු වෙනවනේ accumulated depreciation එකට. Motor vehicle plus 625. ඔයාලා plus විදියට දාගන්න. Office equipment plus 170 plus 12.5. මේ මම විදියට දාගන්න එපා. මම Excel කරන හන්ද තමයි මෙහෙම දාගන්නේ. ඔයාලා plus විදියට පොඩියට මෙහෙම අයිනෙන් ලියාගන්න. එතකොට අපිට opening balance එකට add කරලා දාන්න පුළුවන්. So that we can add that with the opening balance. Right. If depreciation is okay, please let me know. So we have completed 3 adjustments.
Done, sir.
Okay, everyone. So please remember you have to show the calculation, pass the double entry, debited to depreciation expense, credited to accumulated depreciation. Right. So third adjustment done. Fourth one, interest rate applicable for the fixed deposit is 8% per annum, and the interest receivable for the month of March has not been accounted. March මාස interest එක account කරලා නැහැ. ඒක අපි ගණනය කරමුකෝ. Right? Interest on fixed deposit. Right. They haven't accounted the last month. We'll take the fixed deposit. අපි fixed deposit එක බලමු කීයද කියලා. As per the question, the fixed deposit is 1,005. Interest rate is 8%. And what we need to account is only the last month. Antim මාසෙන් account කරන් තියෙන්නේ. So the period we need to account is only the last month. So 1 out of 12. Right. Then accordingly, the interest receivable will be 1,500 into 8% into 1 divided by 12. 10 rupees. 10. ඉගෙන ළමයි මාසයකට 10යිනේ. තේරෙනවනේ මාස 6යිනේ. හරිද? FD එක දැම්මේ October 1st නේ. Ideally you should recognize 6 months interest income. තියෙන්නේ 50යිනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ එක interest එකක් record කරලා නැහැ. 1 month interest has not been recorded. එක මාසයක් record කරලා නැහැ. Right. Can anyone tell me the double entry for this? එක මාසයක interest එකක් record කරලා නැහැ. Can anyone tell me the double entry? Yes. Can anyone tell me the double entry? FD එකක් දාලා අන්තිම මාසේ interest income එකේ double entry මොකක්ද? තාම ඒක record කරලා නැහැ. What is the double entry? ළමයි interest in... Yes,
income
very good.
receivable account debit.
Yes. Credited to?
Credit to income received account.
Credited to interest income. Right? Very good.
Okay.
So debited to interest receivable. වාගේ interest receivable කියලා current asset වල එකක් මම තිබ්බා 10. Debited to interest receivable. Credited to interest income. වාගේ other income වල interest income කියලා තියෙනවා. මේ මේක තව එකක් තියෙනවල මේකන්ද මම මේක plus adjustment එකක් විදිහට මේ එළියෙන් දාගන්න. හරිද? interest income එක ඉස්සර ඔයා එළිය ලියාගත්ත අතරේ plus 10 කියලා. හරිද? එතකොට මේ yes another 50 නෝ. අයික අපි trial balance එක ගන්න වෙලාවට ගමු. දැන්ට දාන්න interest income කියලා plus 10 කියලා දාගෙන තියන්න. Please put that as plus 10. Right? Okay. So we have completed 4 adjustments. We have to do only 2 other adjustments left. One is the accrued electricity and prepaid water bill. Easy. Accrued electricity 75. Accrued electricity 75. That means what? The last month or whatever the months, certain electricity expenses has not been paid yet. But it is an expense. You have consumed the electricity. You have to recognize the expense. What is the double entry for an accrued expense? Expense will increase. Debited to expense. Credited to accrued expense. Accrued expense is a liability. Debited to expense. Credited to accrued expense. වියදමක් වැඩි වෙනවා. තාම ගෙවලා නැති නිසා liability එක accrued එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Go to the admin expenses under electricity plus 75. Debited to expense. වියදමට එකතු කරා. Right? Plus 75. Under accrued expenses, we put credited to accrued 75. Debited to electricity expense 75. Credited to accrued expense 75. Debited to electricity expense 75. Credited to accrued 75. Okay. Right. Prepaid water bill 21. Prepaid water bill එක double entry කවුරු හරි කියන්නේ. What is the double entry for prepaid water bill? You have paid the next month water bill. ඊළඟ මාසේ water bill එකක් දැම්ම ගෙවලා. Right? දැන් මේ ගෙවපු එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? Cash වලින් credit වෙලා water bill එක අස්සේ තියෙන්නේ. Credited to cash, debited to water bill. What is the double entry? මොකක්ද අපි කරන්න ඕනේ? Prepaid water bill. ලබන මාසෙට ගෙවපු water bill එක දැන් water bill එක අස්සේ තියෙන්නේ. What should we do? Please tell me. What should we do, ළමයි? Water bill, prepaid water bill. The prepaid water bill, what we need to do is, ළමයි, it's not the current year expense, right? So we have to remove that from the water bill and recognize that as an asset. අපි ඒක water bill එකෙන් අඩු කරනවා. water කියලා කියන්නේ admin expense -21. -21. Right? So the double entry is debited to prepayment. Prepayment එකට debit වෙනවා. Debited to prepayment, credited to water bill expense. Debited to prepayment, credited to water bill expense. Debited to prepayment, credited to water bill expense. Okay. Right. ළමයි මේ ටික ඕකේද දැනට? Right? Are we clear? Yes or no? Are we clear up to this point? Okay. ඉන්නව නේද තාම? Yes. You can send me a message saying okay. Right? Yeah, okay, okay. Right. Okay, we'll move on to the last adjustment. Thank you. We'll move on to the last adjustment. Minority traders decided to write off 100,000 as bad debt. So it's pretty easy. Now, when a debtor is having financial difficulties and the debtor has gone bankrupt, we take that loss. Right? So what will happen? The debtor will come down, credited to debtor, debited to bad debt expense. So debited to bad debt expense, 100 rupees, credited to debtor. Debtor gisaren liyaගෙන ළමයි -100 කියලා. Right? Debited to bad debt expense, credited to debtor. Debited to bad debt expense, credited to debtor. Yeah. Bad debt expense එකෙන් debit වුණා, debtor ගෙන් අඩු වුණා. Okay. Right. Now, the next adjustment that I'm going to explain is the doubtful debt. From the remaining balance, a 10% doubtful debt provision shall be made. Right. Now look here. I'll do a working number 4, doubtful debt. Right. Now, if you look at the trade debtor balance, right? As per the balance sheet, we have a debtor balance, trial balance, we have debtor balance of 4,100. And from that, we actually had a bad debt, no? So the remaining debtor balance is 4,000. ඉතුරු වෙලා ඉන්නේ 4,000යි. තමයි. Now, this company has got a 100% confirmation that the 100 rupee worth of a debtor is not going to pay. එයාලට තහවුරුවක් ආව රුපියල් 100ක debtor කෙනෙක් නම් සල්ලි ගෙවන්නෙම නැහැ. That they have adjusted as a bad debt. Now they have remaining debtor balance of 4,000. But they have a bit of a suspicion. They have a doubt that there can be another recovery issue. So for the safe side, as per the prudence concept, they are trying to make a provision. ඒගොල්ලෝ කෝකටත් කියලා debtors ලගෙන් balance එකක් provide කරලා තියෙනවා. කියන්නේ තාම වෙලා නැහැ වෙන්න පුළුවන් loss එකක් තියෙනවා නම් අපි ඒක account කරනවා. debtors ලගෙන් කියන්න බෑනේ කවුරු හරි bad debt වුණොත් එමේ ඒ doubt එක අපි account කරනවා as a doubtful debt. We recognize that loss. So what they're asking is to make a doubtful debt provision at 10%. Neither. Doubtful debt provision at 10%. Yes. At 10%. So then how much it will be? 4,000 into 10% is 400. Okay, doubtful debt. So you are going to recognize this future expense. So I mean, අනාගත වියදම දැම්ම ගන්න හදන්න. They doubtful can doubt එක. Sometimes the data can go bankrupt. So then you are recognizing this expense. So what will happen? Debited to doubtful debt expense. Make a doubtful debt expense එකට. අර bad debt වගේම doubtful debt expense එකට. But we cannot credit the debtor. Debtor again direct අඩු කරන්න බෑ. මොකද debtor again අපිට write off කරන්න බෑ. මෙයා ඇත්තරම ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ කියලා අපිට තහවුරුවක් ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. There's no confirmation as to the debtor is not going to pay. ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ කියලා එකක් නැහැ. Bad debt වගේ නෙවෙයි. It's not a write off. They are making a provision. So this will be credited to doubtful debt provision. Make a doubtful debt provision එකට තමයි credit. So one side you are recognizing the expense. වෙන්න පුළුවන් loss එක දැම්ම recognize කරනවා. කියන්න බෑනේ. හැබැයි data එකෙන් කපන්න බෑ. අපි data එකෙන් provision එකක් විදිහට අඩු කරනවා. Right? We are going to deduct that as a provision. හරිද? එහෙනම් අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? අපි මේක දාගන්නවා debited to doubtful debt expense. මම මේක අරගෙන යනවා doubtful debt expense එකට. That is also selling and distribution expense. 100 debited credited to doubtful debt provision. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක data එකෙන් අඩු කරන්න ළමයි නේ. minus එකක් විදිහට දාගෙන. data ට යටින් තියෙන provision for doubtful debt කියලා. අපි data එකේ balance එක මෙතෙන්ට අරගෙන අඩු කරලා දාගන්නවා. හරිද? So put that as a minus. අඩු කරන්න. data එකෙන් direct අඩු කරන්නේ provision එකක් විදිහට වෙනම අඩු කරනවා. මොකද data ට අපිට අත තියන්න බෑනේ. There's no clear cut confirmation that the data is not going to pay no. එහෙම යන්නේ නැහනේ. Okay? You made the provision. ඔයාට AAT ගානක තියෙන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි දැනටම තියෙන provision එකක් එක ගානක්. For an example, in this question, you already had a 200 rupee provision. You pass a double entry only for the difference. So what if there's an already doubtful debt provision? Very good. අපි හිතමු මේ ගානේ තියෙනවා කියලා දැනටම 200ක provision එකක්. අපි 300ක provision නැති වෙන හිතමු. We already have a 300 rupee provision. හරිද? දැනටම provision එකක් තියෙනවා 300ක. For an example. හරිද? 300ක provision එකක් already තියෙනවා. අපිට ඕනේ කීයක්ද? 400යිනේ. දැනටම 300ක් තියෙනවා අපිට ඕනේ 400යි. එහෙනම් ඒ වෙනස තමයි account කරන්නේ. තව provision එක අපි 100කින් වැඩි කරමු. 100කින් වැඩි කරලා provision එක නේ 300 400 කරමු. You recognize the expense 100 rupees, provision 100 rupees. 300ක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට 100ක් එකතු වුණාම 400 වෙයි. ඒකට අපි කියනවා under provision එක. අපිට ඕනේ 400යි තියෙන්නේ 300ක් කියන්නේ තියෙන්නේ අඩු වෙන්නේ. What we need is 400, what we have is 300, then there's an under provision. මම කිව්වේ 300 දැනට නෑ මම hypothetically කිව්වේ. What if the examiner is giving you a provision of 5 let's say 600 600ක් 600ක් තිබුණාට අපිට ඕනේ 400යිනේ. එහෙනම් 200කින් මේක reverse කරන්න ඕනේ. Then you will be passing the double entry like something like this. Debited to doubtful debt provision. Provision එක අඩු කරනවා. Debited to doubtful debt provision by 200 rupees. Credited to doubtful debt expense 200. So අපිට ඕනි ගානට තියෙන provision එක අඩු වැඩි කරනවා. එක්ක provision එක වැඩි කරනවා. එතකොට අපිට expense එක. provision එක අඩු කරොත් expense එක අඩු වෙනවා. එතකොට මේක අඩු වුණා නම් මේක minus 200 කියලා එන්නේ. Doubtful debt expense minus. ඒ expense එක අඩු නෙවෙන්නේ. Right. Those who are in my class, theory class, I will explain that separately in the next class. මම ඒක වෙනම ඔයාලට ආපොත් පැහැදිලි කරන්න. අලුතෙන්ම provision එකක් આવත් expense එක. provision එක තියෙන එකට වඩා වැඩි කරන්න උනොත් expense එකක්. තියෙන එක අඩු කරන්න ඕන නම් expense reduction එකක්. හරි. ඔක තේරුණාද? ඕකේද?
Okay, sir.
Right. So we have completed everything lamai. We need to take the balances. Right, we'll start. Land, land 2000, right? Building 4750.
Motor vehicle 2500.
Yes, 4750. Motor vehicle, how much?
2500.
2500. Sorry, 2500. Office equipment 1700. Ne? Right, so it will be 500 plus 1700. Right, we'll put the accumulated depreciation as well. 1250, 520, and 350. Right, so building here 1250 plus, then 520 plus, ne? 520 plus, 350 plus, ne? Yes, 350. Right, thank you. Right, then sales came to a figure of 48,000.
48,000.
48,000. Sales 48,000. Then purchases 27,170.
1,000.
Right, very good. 27,170. Then
Opening
stock
2,900.
2,900. Right. Okay, opening stock 2,900. Capital ek kiya tha?
9,000.
Capital is 9,000.
9,000.
We'll put it into the second column. Then we got fixed deposit 1,500. Right, fixed deposit term and non-current asset tag we don't know, maybe more than 1 year. No, trade receivable me 4,100 minus 100 4,000. So taking හාරසිය අඩු වුණයින් පස්සේ අපිට කෙලින්ම දාගන්න පුළුවන් එහා පැත්තේ column එකට balance එක 3,600. 4,100ක් අඩු වුණාම 4,000. Trade payables 4,895. 1,895. Electricity 1,200. There was a accrued balance 75. Salaries and wages 6,200. Salaries and wages 6,200. Transport that goes to the selling and distribution expense
500.
Transport 500. Then water 190. There's a prepayment minus 21. Bank charges, we can put that under the finance expenses. Bank charges 25. Rent of the showroom 1,100. Rent 1,100. Interest income from fixed deposit. මේ 10ත් එකතු වුණාම 50 plus 10 is 60. Finally, cash balances 5,230. Right? Okay, that's it. We can calculate the cost of sale. Cost of sale will come to 27,070. That's the gross profit. 20,930. Selling and distribution expenses minus 1,625. Admin expenses minus 9,402. Finance expenses minus 38. So the net profit will come to a balance of 9,926. That we can add here. 9,926. 1,890. 926. The liabilities will come to 1,983. Here the total will come to 21,409. 2,000 minus here. So you get the total 8,048. Non-current total asset total is 9,528. 11,861. So the balance sheet gets tallied at 21,409. Okay. Right. Please do the finalizing, Laman, and check whether your answers are getting tallied. In the exam, decide an order on how you are supposed to do the question. So, at a very comfortable level, let's say you can start with manufacturing, then go to maybe the sole prop, maybe the accounting equation, then come to the trial balance, then go to the correction of errors. Some kind of an order you have to decide. Bank recs are also even easier. Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Are you all okay?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Right? Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Lamai. Right. So, yeah. Right. So we have spent an extra 1 hour as well, right, to discuss the entire paper. So I haven't kept anything now. The entire guest paper for the February exam has been discussed 1 month ahead. So that is more than enough, right? So please do this paper again. I know than the general paper, this may be a little tough, but that'll give you a good practice, right? And so once again, let me thank JMC Virtual Learning Platform for giving me this opportunity. And you all should be thankful to vLearning as well. And please feel free to get their services for AAT2 and AAT3, right? And I'm also lecturing there, especially for AAT3, Single and English medium both I'm doing there, right? So that you can get that support. And as usual, you know my number, right? You all can uh, send me your feedbacks, right? Sorry. Right? So please feel free to send a feedback, Lamai, about the today's session, right? As well as feel free to comment on the feedback form, right? So with that, I'm going to conclude the today's session. So thank you for staying with me up until the end of the session. So my objective was to give you a guidance, give you a help with the help of e-learning, right? So please do your exam well in the February month. Those who are not in my class, we won't be meeting again uh, in a seminar. So this will be the last seminar on financial accounting. Right. So stay blessed and thank you, Lamai. Thank you for joining. Please join the other seminars as well. Right.